straight from the throne. We built the altar with the unhewn stones. Roam through the city, all we see is these bones. So my face like flint till I wake a couple.
Say there are them that keep the commandments, cause them have the right to the tree of life and can go through the gate into the city. Cause without, them a dog.
Thy kingdom come is told Meg, so obey the Mosaic, nigga, that's great. Like the captivity when holy Moses stole the locust, scoliosis, get back crazy. Christ the living water, free to wave, will behave. I need a slave, Mr. Passways. He just laughed and said, nigga, it ain't over till then seen a higher choir full of fat ladies. Hamashiach birth was perfect, he don't act shady. Spirit dope from the womb like a crack baby. We Christ followers, let America meet the black Navy. And watch this privileged Christian cracker like black slave. Israelites, bitch, we humongous. Wise Q and Q the cucumber. I prep twice, my mind 2 bunkers. Voice of choice to the newcomers. My Micah Myers, I need blue jumpers. 300 kosher soldiers, Leonidas. Awards ready, Gideon and Titus. No being nice, a knife to Dionysus. My law heathens, I quit being biased. The key to tree of life is being pious.
You loudmouth bitches barking at the dog whisperer. You will catch these paws in the name of the living word. I don't pump fake, I'm a pivot around this perimeter. They bite the jab step, whole time I'm checking your temperature. I can minister this literature in a verse into integers. All the babes in the truth weaned off the milk, get a quench of thirst. We are holy people, that's set apart like a room full of introverts. I guarantee you have never heard that up in your church. You see this woolly hair, plus my feet the color of brass. I'm just here to prophesy, my foot going up your ass. I'm smart, while others chuckle, I'm glad I can make you laugh. Come on and sign a death row, all I need is your autograph. I got a stick in my hand like I'm ready to play fetch. You brag about your hands, but there's nothing you can't catch. I'm a landlord, no dogs around this complex. Been stepping on shit, can't keep my feet off next.
Yeah man, tell them boy I say, yo, you know hear me chain? Yo, hold my glasses, let me talk to them boy, yo. Yo, you see in the kingdom, you know see my mansion right there, sir. You know see my car, yeah man, you know see it, you know? Yo, Christian Corey, now look on them now. Them outside of the gate and them can't come in. But eat everlasting fruit. No more pain, no more hunger. Just riches and wealth and good life and living. But because you don't keep the commandments of the Most High, you're outside of the gate now and you can't come in here.
Deacon. Only 12 tribes in the kingdom, the dogs are outside, weeping and gnashing the teeth. You hear the outcries, to get there you gotta be humble and denounce pride. They in awe when them chariots come. You see the mouth wide, shout out to the northern kingdom. But I'm from Southside, we outside doing the work. You on the couch fried, the greasiest. The flow was easy as swatting house flies. The big shark that outgrew his tank, you niggas trout size. Edomites faking the truth, but they about lies. Niggas don't pop it, they gossiping like some housewives. They call it Sakari for a reason. We throwing out knives, y'all lukewarm newborns. I like devout guys, you think you confident in the spirit until the doubt rise. Famine of the word, you won't hear it until the drought dies. I was in the streets like a Muslim, handing out pies. The big cat comes in the room and watch the mouse hide.
Hey, Deacon, use your inside voice. You ain't outside. Out lies the white man by the gate and he listening. Stop your voice of many waters, go switch to your pictures thin. You embarrassing our fathers, be proper when you sit with men. And cross your legs, straighten up your posture and lift your chin. Be master's pattern model when an Oscar shit bitch pretend. Man, why the hell I'm pushing Stockholm? Now that Abraham Stockholm, Jerome. I'm by Yahweh, fuck a goof too. Yahweh shy, pluck a tooth loose. He that lead of luck a noose sloop. Syro-Phoenician, fuck a deuce deuce. Carbon fifth, chuck a few loose. Duck, duck, yep, a goose loose. Brain splatter, call a couscous. Then dance on it, bust a duke deuce. Recruiting fruit, yep, a poop coop. Body of Christ, looking Bruce Bruce. Big dog, knuckle, cop pulling into they click and load them. She no swift as eagles aboard the seat out her nigga scrotum. Put the stick in the V flying into they Jimmy Croton. Robbing Jews and Jews of Judas. Can't send the chicken on them, but with Christ bird's eye view. Precision vision showed them fire bombing shit out the sky. Doubt them, we semicolon. I hawk them down, walk them down, convict the sentence on them. They take them through it, make them do it, pigeonhole them. We did them foul, but fair. We read the holy prophets in context and we parroted verbatim. Esau's church that's out here winging it. Culture vultures. Christian.
So here one now. Warm to them boy, man. Them not even know if them serve God the right way. They live a righteous and positive life. There are bare things the most I have for them. Yo, a long time I watching a Corey. A bare things you go on with the most I respect, you know. A man of
my water straight from the throne. We built the altar with the unhewn stones. Roam through the city, all we see is these bones. So my face like flint till I wake a couple souls. A prophet hated by his own, so the father sent his son to bring the tribes of Jacob home. Jumping through these traps, cause they trying to see us gone. But we walking through the fire just like dangling his bros. From every sheep to her zone, we stay inside the book because the book is all we own. Heritage and you better hold it on. We like David fighting giants with no armor and a stone. We face east cause a car home. We face east just to call home. We can't sleep till we all home. We won't rest till they all gone. So I guess that we be calling out they all bones. Bless the seed, invest the deep in the laws of our God. Niggas Elohim, Shema, Warapah, all the side the king. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashad, Nagin. Bless the seed, invest the deep in the laws of our God. Niggas Elohim, Shema, Warapah, all the side the king. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashad, Nagin. From Bereshit to the books in Greek, the dragon took the sheep. Man, the book complete. The father looked for peace, but we shook the beast. Now we up until our power put the hook in cheek. Shema, Yasha Allah, Abanawa, Yahweh, Ahad. He the tower till he give us the power of God. Though in the tower you will never devour a tribe. The Lord despised all you devils, your hours arrived. Bless the seed that kept the peace. Never forgot the poor and he kept the feast. He trying to dodge destruction, they can't stop the sea. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashak, Nagin. Bless the seed that kept the peace. Never forgot the poor and he kept the feast. Trying to dodge destruction, they can't stop the sea. Barakatah, Yahweh, and Mashak, Nagin.
All right, y'all. Shalom, shalom. Shalom. All right, so yeah, we're gonna do this one more time. We did it on Monday, but it was partnered with the other class, so I could say what I had to say about the community. Today, I just decided to hop on here real impromptu, you know what I mean? Just to put it on the channel by itself as to why we keep the 7-day Sabbath here at Anointed House of Saints. So, shalom to everybody coming in the building. Y'all hit the like button as y'all come in, Baba Kasha. Y'all put a 7 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly. If you will. Put a 7 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. And feel free to share this one, you know what I'm saying, for the people. Because I want everybody to get this information. Seems to be information that certain camps don't have. All right, bet. You know what I mean? Sakari, GMS. They should know it because they teach the history. But you know what I'm saying? There's some things that were said in that video. We're going to go over the video again today, too. Just to kind of go over things, right? Shalom. Real quick, since it's an impromptu class, we do have an announcement. I'm going to do some shout outs, but before that, we do have an announcement. We got something very special going on this weekend, November 2nd, right? On the Shabbat, right? Our Shabbat. How about that? But look, 1530 Woodmere Drive, Greensboro, North Carolina. You should know that address. That's the school in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Pull up for family, fellowship, and community, right? Come fellowship with us and see what we have planned in the community. We got free food, and of course, we're gonna have music. It's probably gonna be DJ Judah, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, or a DJ from Judah. I know how niggas do. But yeah, so you can pull up November 2nd, 3 p.m. Eastern time, right? If you come San Francisco time, Shaquat and Yahawada and them, you know, you're gonna be a little late. So 3 p.m. Eastern time, 1530 Woodmere Drive, Greensboro, North Carolina. Come pull up with the brothers, you know what I'm saying? They've been doing good community work up there. So come show some support, especially if you're in the area. If you driving by, you got a truck or whatever, you're going to drop off a load, you know what I'm saying? Go park the truck at the school and get you some food. You know what I mean? Well, maybe not at the school because the parking lot not that damn big, but you know what I mean? We got places across the street you can park, whatever the hell. So, but pull up. That's the point, right? Pull up and support the brothers. I'm not going to be there. I got to go to Tennessee this weekend, but Aharon will be there. You know what I'm saying? Supporting and representing Atlanta. And Captain Aharon will be teaching the Sabbath morning brew from the school, right? So that will also be very exciting to see. If y'all know how Aharon get down, he'll be up there with Judah, Jonathan. You know what I'm saying? So, and the officers and everything up there. Tico and them. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and kind of get into this thing, right? Hold on, let me wait. Hold up. Wait a minute. There it is. All right, bet. So, hold on just a second, Joe. Let me fix this. Give me 2 seconds. All right, bet. So, we are here. All right, we're going to talk about why AHOS keeps the 7-day Sabbath. Because apparently, on the internet, right, even though we did the class on Monday, it wasn't titled 7-day Sabbath. So, brothers still think that nobody has responded. Nobody has said anything, right? Once again, just like the class on Monday, this is not to warrant a debate. This is not to say we're smarter than anybody, right? It's not to mock other brothers for not knowing something or not being as educated as other people are on a certain topic. But what it is to do is to show you guys that our elders chose the 7-day Sabbath as opposed to the lunar Sabbath because they knew about it, of course. But they chose that for a reason, right? I want to make it clear that there were brothers like F.S. Cherry before the camps, you know, that kept the 7-day Sabbath. Those of us part of Anointed House of Saints that know your history, you know about the Greeks, and we're going to get into that today because there were some statements made on the Genesis video, right? So, yeah, we're going to kind of get into it. So let me pull this video up one more time. Oh, snap. It is the light skin brother himself. Hey! All right.
Shalom. Shalom. Break that.
All right. But yeah, we're gonna get into it.
All right, everybody. First and foremost.
Ranks, okay, not yet. But so real quick, just to shout out to the Anointed House of Saint San Fran. Know what I mean? We're gonna start up soon. Yeah, and we up here, right? Shalom, Sister Malka, House of Yahawada, right? Got Kasaja, AHOS, Shalom King, the Captain Aharon Dawad, Shalom, Sister Anaraya, Shalom Big Sis, Sister Yosefrina, Shalom Sister. We got the good brother Yaquab in the building, Shalom. Good Sister Jayla, Shalom. A tribe of 5 was good to all of you. The good Sister Joanne. Haha, you wasn't first this time, sis. You didn't know what was happening. You didn't know we was gonna pull up today. It's all good. Good to see you in the building. You know what I'm saying? All praise to the Most High. We got the good man DTA in the house. Got his wife here too, right? Look, both of them in the building. That man up north probably freezing right now in the woods. Shout out to DTA. Who else we got? I don't know if I said something. I don't think I said Kadar yet. Shalom, officer. Keziah. Two-time, right? What's good, King? World without end. Shalom. Revolution reborn. Salakia. Shalom. All right. And we got Captain Judah in the building. Shalom, King. All right. So let's get it going, man. Y'all hit the like button when y'all come in the building, Baba Kashai. And this is gonna be a video for our prospects. So I'm not gonna be looking at the chat at all. Basically, I'm just gonna be teaching the lesson, right? We're gonna go point for point for about the first 15 minutes. By then we'll probably be at an hour, if not a little bit more. No, we'll be over an hour. So yeah, that's probably where we're gonna stop, just because I don't want this to be an all-day thing. But 15 minutes is gonna be enough time for us to really understand the basis of their topic. My dog did this last time. This is crazy. Stop it, bro. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen. All right. So let me wait on this garage to shut. Hold on just a second. Hold on, yo. Hey, Boaz, you want to say something right quick? I got to mute for a second because this dog ain't going. I got to put him up right quick.
Real quick. If you on the class, if you privy to be on the class, like there's I know there's not everybody on here, man. Go ahead and I would say hit the like button, but hit the share button first. Hit the share button. Send it out in the message. If you're a part of our congregation in the congregation chat, man, hey, drop it again in the congregation chat. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might not have seen it. Adawan posted it, but drop the link one more time and share it on your social media platform, because I know this is a topic of conversation going on right now. It's still happening, and I believe these brothers did this video like a week ago. You know what I'm saying? So,
and this is our second one.
Number 2.
Yeah, 2 times.
But
yeah,
I have you say it 2 times. So I'm 2 times.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we're gonna get into it, man. So let's see what they're talking about.
Let's start this off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. And we do so by Hashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father. In the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This is Priest Sakai, aka since we didn't get, so let's get right into it.
Ready to prove it. Them groceries for the Saturday night Sabbath. You Friday night. I'm gonna tell you this, for the brothers and sisters who are keeping Friday night the Saturday night Sabbath, who are hustling and bustling to try to get ready for the Sabbath coming in, you might have some extra time to buy them groceries. All right, we're getting ready to prove it.
For those that prove. Yeah, all praises. So let's get right into it, y'all. No commercials, no none of that. What's happening? So since we didn't get it, since we haven't gotten a chance to, we're gonna go. Yeah, we could stay to the side. So let me see how it looks. Let me see how it's open to a debate on this topic. We'll have to do this presentation today. Let us all for the edification of the body.
And I'm gonna reiterate, like I did on Monday, the reason hey, shalom, everybody coming in the building. Y'all hit the like button and the share button when y'all come in, but the reason there was no debate accepted for this topic is because when these brothers were with Sakari and they were all one camp, there was multiple debates that were done. We had one when we were the Sons of Thunder, right? It was me and Joel specifically that was in the room with all the elders from all the major camps that you guys know about, that were a thing, that were alive around in 2020, right? Because we got a lot of camps now that weren't around. But all the camps that were around in 2020, all of the big ones, except for GMS and IUIC, and ISUPK and GOCC, all the ones that associate with each other, I'll say that. All the big camps that associate with each other, we had all our elders in the room, right? It was at the summit in Fort Lauderdale, okay? It wasn't recorded because the point was to just get all the information out, have a debate between whoever wanted to join in the debate and defend the points. There were 2 debates that went on. There was one debate on which new moon we should have, right? Me and Joel were also in that debate against our elder of this camp, one of our elders of this camp, Priest Yakanan, right? From Yahweh's camp. And he was representing the elders of HODC. And well, that might have been it. Everybody else was for the dark moon. So it was the elders versus us, basically. Everybody else, right? The sliver moon or the dark moon, right? Because the elders didn't want us to keep the same moon as the heathen, right? But it was agreed that, well, not really agreed because they still do their thing. But the debate, it wasn't settled because half the brothers was like, yo, we don't feel this way about this and we don't feel that way about that, right? So that happened. We didn't come to an agreement. Same thing happened with the Sabbath discussion, but not because the debate finished. It was because the brothers that were representing the lunar discussion, half of them, it was 2 teams, right? It was me and Joel teamed up with HOD, right? And all the other brothers. So General Hashar was in there basically defending us. Priest Danyala was in there. We had Bam from No Cap. We had Priest Kahan and Shalimah from Light of Zion. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of brothers in there, right? And of course, you had Alazar and Hassad for the lunar Sabbath, and the brother Amos and the other brother from his camp for the lunar Sabbath, right? And at the end of the debate, the only people in the room still that were in the debate was me, Joel, the rest of our team, right? And Amos and the brother in his camp, because the Sakari brothers had walked out, right? We took that as a forfeiture. There was no need to have this discussion again, right? So I will not be having another debate on this topic simply for that reason, right? We already had the chance to have a debate in front of credible people that could tell you the truth of what happened, right? People that know the Bible that would not lie. And the debate wasn't finished because certain brothers decided to walk out because other people couldn't see their point, right? And we had whiteboards out, all type of stuff. And that's what happened, right? There's no slander or nothing like that. It's not trying to be mad at nothing, but that's what happened. So we no longer talked about the discussion, right? All of us might have did a video that year on the Sabbath or something like that, and that was it. I think I did a Milk Monday on it, and that was all, right? So now the topic's being brought up again. We're just gonna counter it and let that be that, whether they come back or not, right? I'm leaving it here. So just wanted to put that on the table again.
All praise to the Most High. This is
to make it clear, nobody's scared of a debate. We just already had one, and then we witnessed the Watchmen do it, and then say that they also have a video saying that they would, they want brothers to talk to them, right? So I'm assuming brothers ain't talked to them yet, but we're not the only ones that have had a discussion or want to have a discussion. So other brothers that are able to do this can do this, but I'm not going to waste my time with it again because I wasn't convinced the first time. I'm not going to be convinced the second time. I wasn't convinced by this video, and I'm going to show you why. About
200 slides, a 200 slide presentation to prove that Saturday Sabbath originated or was created for idolatry, and it was given to the world and produced by the beast system, which is Satan and the devil. This was going to be proven through the spirit and power of the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushai, right?
Yeah, I don't think y'all heard him. What we're getting ready to prove is that the Sabbath that a lot of us kept Friday night to Saturday night, not only is it incorrect, I need to make sure that y'all really are properly ascertaining and listening to this. Not only is it incorrect, but it is literally the Satan. It's Satan's calendar. I'm just gonna give it to you straight. It's Satan's calendar. Oh, what do you mean? Well, we're getting ready to prove it.
All praise. All right, so let's start this, y'all. What calendar did the Israelites utilize before they were subjugated by the beast, which is the Roman Empire, and given their satanic calendar, which is still in use today? Question mark. Anybody know? Does anybody know? Definitely not the beast calendar. The Israelites did not even have their own physical universal calendar. The Most High prescribed, don't worry about the typos, prescribed the celestial bodies of heaven for us to keep time. Today, we will prove this with history, archaeology, and scripture that Saturday is not the day the Most High appointed to be his holy Sabbath. In fact, Saturday Sabbath was created to worship Saturn. It's idolatry. The calendar we use today is given to us by the beast in the book of Revelation and Daniel. It's flawed and its weekly cycle is interrupted. The calendar the Most High gave the Israelites is in accordance with the celestial bodies, and the new moon determines the Sabbath.
Is there any way you
All right. Hold on.
can zoom in? People in the chat. I thought we should be all right.
Okay, turn your phone sideways. Turn your phone sideways. Blow up the screen. The months, the water for the super chat donation, greatly appreciate you. The months, weeks, days, and seasons are determined by the moon cycle.
This, plus the things he said before this, are the first reason why I wasn't convinced by this video, right? So first he says that the months, or the calendar rather, was given to us by the beast system, right? So let me pull some things up. This is where the knowledge of history comes into play, right? This is why I became an historian and I really dig into history, right? Brothers like Karash did it. They had Yeshaya at the old school for all the elders that you know to learn history, because it's imperative to know every bit of history that you can learn to fully understand why certain things were done in history and why our people did certain things, right? As far as, or kept certain things, right? So, like the Sabbath. First thing I'm gonna show you guys. Let me see. Hold on. All right. So they tell us, and what he's gonna tell us later in the video in a little bit, right, is that it was made by the beast system, Saturday Sabbath, right? And that the word Saturn, you know what I'm saying, is what you're doing. You're worshiping Saturn when you do this Saturday Sabbath. So I'm going to show you guys some things. If you follow the Anointed House of Saints, right, you've seen our history video from Milk Monday on the Danes, right? The Greeks, right? The tribe of Dan, okay? We got two different videos on the tribe of Dan, and both of them explain how Dan and Judah went to Greece and actually were the Greeks. If you've taken any collegiate history class, right, that teaches on antiquity and Greece, right, they tell you that the name for the Greeks wasn't Greek. They never called themselves that. They were called Hellenes. Who are the people in the Bible that we say the Hellenes are? Boaz, could you tell me that?
Greek-speaking Jews.
Greek-speaking who's?
Jews.
Jews. Who are Jews?
Israelites.
Okay, wait a minute. Before I show you that, let's. Okay, hold on. All right, bet. So look. Let me show you guys something right quick, because we did history on the Greeks for a reason, right? It wasn't just to find Dan. It was to give you guys history, right? So that you understand certain things. He said that we got everything from the Romans, right? But history says that the Romans got everything from the Greeks. It's very hypocritical for us to one moment say that Esau is a vagabond on the earth, right? And that he didn't take anything, he didn't make anything, he just steals, kills, pillages, and destroys, right? But then when we have an argument that we want to make and want to make people believe, Esau automatically made every damn thing, right? When niggas don't want to believe in Jesus, Esau made that. When niggas don't want to believe in the chart, Esau made that. When niggas, like, That's the cop out for everything, right? But Esau didn't make a damn thing on the planet, not even vanilla, right? They just changed things and adapt to it. All right. Did the Greeks call themselves Greek? No, the ancient Greeks did not call themselves Greek. Hellenes. The ancient Greeks referred to themselves as Hellenes. The term Hellene comes from the mythological figure Helen, son of Deucalion, right? And Pyrrha. The word Hellenes or Hellenes first appeared in the writing in 584 BC by the Bronze Age lyricists, right? Now, people have a misconception that Greeks got to be Javan, right? Well, no, Javan's people never called themselves Greeks. They had other names. They had Cyprus. They had Mycenaean. They had Minoan, right? They had things like that. Ashkenaz, right? The Greeks were a people. What was a name given to us, right, by other people. While in the land, Greek was not a name we used. The name was Hellene. Hellene is the same thing written in the Bible in Koine Greek to refer to us that became Gentiles in this same damn place. Why is that? Because we knew what we were referred to in the land. We were the people that came up with the names. We were the Greeks, right? Proof. We did the history, right? We have the PowerPoint. Let me show you. So you can look all of this history up. The tribe of Dan in the Bible, the book of Joshua, chapter 19, verses 40 to 47, they get the Joppa coast as one of their seaports before they go up to Lashem and take more land, right? When you go into the book of Ezekiel, chapter 27, verses 13 to 19, you see that Javan and Dan were trading with each other, right? They've been doing it since the beginning of time of us being in the land, right? Since Dan got that coast, they've been trading with Javan, going back and forth. What is Javan? Greece, okay? Then you see later on in Ezekiel 27 that Judah as well is a trader going back and forth to places around that land, like Tarshish and Damascus, right? So people that go back and forth to Greece, all right? Now, there's history you can look up. There's a people called the Danans in 1500 BC, right? 1500 BC. We just saw on Google, right? On the thing that I showed you guys about the Greeks being the Hellenes, the first time they were written as Hellene was 584 BC. So the tribe of Dan, the people that Josephus, the Israelite historian, as Chief called him, right, which is true. Josephus, the Israelite historian, said that Dan was the Lacedaemonians, right, along with part of the tribe of Simeon. I'm going to show you. It's also in the PowerPoint, part of the history. It's in his books, right? So the fact that Josephus said that the Lacedaemonians that we read about in the book of Maccabees, along with the Scythians or Scythians, however you want to pronounce it, right? Same people that went on to, you know, do some with Scythia, right? But in Sicily, but these people, right, are Dan. Okay, Dan goes to the land as the Danans, and they take over Cyprus in 15 or between 1500 and 1485 BC, right? And you can see, right, that they begin to deal with the Greeks and everything, and they have even a shrine for idol worship, right? After the split. You can read about that in Judges 18. You can read more about it in 1 Kings 12, right? So the reason Dan was chosen to have a shrine for idol worship is because they were already known for worshiping idols, bringing back titles of idols, right? People that they made. Because history tells us that Dan helped create the Greek god pantheon, right? History tells us that you can look up on your own We also have it in the PowerPoint and in the video that we did, the history lesson on Dan, right? The first one, from about 4 weeks ago. We proved that all the historians that know about the story of Hercules say that it comes from the Danaans that went to Cyprus and told the people of Cyprus, and then later the people of Javan, who became the Mycenaeans and Minoans, right? Told them about this man named Samson, right? These Minoans and Mycenaeans and Javanites and Cyprusites, they go and make a story of this man. They call him Heraclim, right? Which happens to be the Hebrew word for what? Traders or merchants, which is what we just read in Ezekiel that Dan and Judah were to these people, right? The story of Hercules includes this big, strong guy with long locks that gets his hair cut off by a prostitute. What happens to Samson? He's a big, strong guy with long locks that gets his hair cut off by a prostitute. And in the midst of that, he loses his power. The myth of Hercules, he loses his power after his hair gets cut off, right? Something Hercules does that he's known for, especially if you've seen the one with the rock recently, he kills a lion and rips his head off and wears the lion throughout time, the head of the lion, right? The Bible doesn't tell us he wore the head of the lion because that's part of the myth, right? He wouldn't do that as an Israelite. But not an Israelite in his right mind before idolatry and stuff, right? But he did kill the lion according to the story, right? With his bare hands. The same story as Hercules. Why was it mythicized instead of the real story being told? Well, there's this thing called apotheosis, right? Let me go to that real quick. Here it is. In the Greek, they took the idol worship of another level to another level. Javan had a practice called apotheosis, which in the Greek mythology is when mortals went through a process and became gods. So Hercules, right? And if you think I'm lying and I just typed that up, and this is also the AI overview for the Greek thing before I show that. So it says the Greek name for Hercules may have originated from the Hebrew word Heraclim, which was the name of the merchant men of the Danite tribe. Even AI knows that. The Danites were a seafaring tribe that may have come into contact with the Mycenaean world. We don't have to say may have because we see it in the book of Ezekiel. They were trading with Javan. Javan wasn't just going to Israel. Best believe Dan was going over there. In fact, history tells us that they founded Cyprus, right? So Dan found Cyprus, right? And then they take over the Mycenaeans and the Minoans as these people called the Dorians, right? In history. In around 1100 BC. You said what?
Wow, I ain't saying anything. Go ahead, Armand.
So as the Dorian people, right? They had the Dorian invasion, and then we take over as the Dorians. Once we have mass control, complete control over these people, we begin to be known as the Greeks, right? Through our god pantheon that we have, there was a famous woman from the tribe of Dan named Helen, and we decided to name ourselves after her. No different than the people of Sparta, right? Are named after, the Lacedaemonians are, and the Spartans are named after Sparta, right? Which is a woman, right? We have the Scots, which are named after Queen Scotia, which is a woman, right? We just had a thing of naming our people after a king's wife, right? Lacedaemon was the king, Sparta was the queen, and Lacedaemon was what the name of the people was, but Sparta was also a different name of people that came from them, right? It's names of people from the tribe, though, that were later deified through the process of apotheosis. That's what the whole Greek god pantheon is, right? All the historians also accredit this as well. They just don't tell you that the Danaans are the tribe of Dan. You have to do your own research on that. It should be obvious at this point. Them being an adder in the way and leaving a trail wherever they go. They leave their name everywhere. Danan, Dorian, Danube River, Scandinavia. Everywhere they've been, they leave their name, right? But that's the history on Dan, right? To prove that we are the Greeks. You have Judah coming there, right? In 1000 BC as the Mycenaeans, proving Ezekiel also to be correct. When you look up the relationship between the Dorians and the Mausians, it tells you that they were of the same people. The Mausians later became the Anglo-Saxons, and the Dorians or Danans became the Danes. Right? Okay. That's the history. You could get more of that on the channel in the class that we did. All right. So that's the proof of us being the tribe of Dan, right? Which we are, and Judah being the Greeks. Okay. Now, going back to the lesson, we see that the Greeks also had a practice of keeping a Saturday Sabbath that they called Sabbaton. Right? The Greeks had a word for Sabbath called Sabbaton. What is the definition or etymology of Sabbaton? Sabbaton is a Greek word that refers to the 7th day of the week, a sacrificed festival when Israelites were required, Israelites were required to obtain or abstain, Salakia, from work. It can also refer to the institution of keeping the Sabbath day of the week holy. That's what Sabbaton means. It refers to the Israelites who were the Hellenes, who are the Greeks, and they kept this 7-day Sabbath on Saturday. Now, Saturday, right? We're going to get to that in a second. I'm going to let Deacon say what he's going to say. But this is just proof as to why you need to know the history, right? Brothers don't know nothing about Greek. They think Greeks are heathen, don't know that Greek is just the Roman word for Hellene, right? And Hellene goes back to the pantheon that the Israelite tribe of Dan made with Javan and the Mycenaeans, right? And Hellene is also the word for the Gentiles in the New Testament. So it only refers to the Israelites, nigga. Even Kologic history tells you that. That's why we able to break down the debates with vocab McNuts and all them people, right? Because we teach who the Hellenes are. Well, the definition of Greek, right? As we saw, did the Greeks call themselves Greek? Deacon, Hassad? No, the ancient Greeks did not. The ancient Greeks referred to themselves as Hellenes. Who are the Hellenes? The Gentile Israelites. When did the name come about? 584 BC. When did the Israelites get to Greece? 1400 BC and 1100 BC for the tribe of Judah in the southern kingdom, right? 584 BC, they've been in the land 500 years, Negro. Hellene is what they were called. That's why they were called Israelites that much in the New Testament. They referred to them as Hellene because we were the people that made that word. It was a word that we knew to refer to ourselves as, just like we call ourselves nigga today, right? Right. There's nothing new under the sun. We refer to ourselves as bywords. We've done it. Hellene is a byword in the Bible known for that, but you guys are making it seem like it's crackers, right? The Romans took everything they got from the Greeks, which is us. Deacon is about to tell you in a second that the Israelites had no influence whatsoever on the Greeks, right? You're about to see him say it on the camera. But the fact is, the Israelites were the Greeks, if you know anything about history. So we actually had every influence on them. They didn't go all the way to Babylon. I'm about to prove that too, though, right? Let's get the lesson back up, and then we'll break down some more stuff.
This is how we calculate our Sabbath and calendar according to the Bible. Right?
Wait, hold on. He also said that days are calculated by the moon. Good brother, big brother Boaz, are you there?
Kind of
You're awake, my friend.
Yeah,
Can you give me the book of Genesis like we did on Monday?
What kind?
Let's get the book of Genesis and prove that days can't constitute or be constituted or determined by the moon if days were made before the moon was given its job to be the moon. Right? Okay. On the fourth day, the sun was made to be the light that divides the day from the night, and the moon was made to be the light that divides the night from the day. But it was on day 4. So the fact that day 1, day 2, day 3 are called day, that would mean days were made before the moon, right? Okay. So the moon can't constitute the days. Something else to show you guys before Boaz brings that out, right? Okay. Is the moon cycle perfect?
You asking me?
It's just a question. We're about
Wow.
to show it. If the moon cycle is not perfect, but we have a perfect 24 hours in a day, 12 for the day and 12 for the night, how could the day be determined by the moon? If the moon doesn't change every day, how could the day be determined by the moon? There's some days, especially when you look at a moon cycle app or calendar, the moon could be dark for 2 days. It could be a first sliver, a crescent for 3 days, 2.5 days, right? For a quarter of a day. It's inconsistent, but days are consistent. We have clocks to measure how consistent they are. So we don't have to go by the white man for that. I'm sure somewhere in history you can prove a black guy created the clock, right? We're about to prove a black guy created the name for clock. My watch says Cronus in cursive. All of them do, right? Cronus means time. It's a word from the Greek. The Greeks are the Israelites. Greek is the language that first makes up the English language, right? Greek is the language that the Latin comes from, and Latin is the language that the Romans made the language of the land. Why? Because they didn't make Greek. Just like they didn't keep speaking our Hebrew, they speak Yiddish using our characters, right? They speak Latin using our characters. Greek. There's no new thing under the sun, brother, right? Proof. Greek alphabet. Okay. Latin alphabet. It's the same thing, just cursive. All right. Latin script. It's the same thing, just look different. It's Greek, the same characters, right? And this looks very similar to Hebrew, don't it? Oh, why? Because they all come from us. Why do you think the elders say that? You think they just pulled it out their ass? No, they know history. Something brothers need to learn, right? Okay, so back to it. The Greeks are the Hellenes, and the Hellenes are Israelites. So the Greeks had everything to do with what happened with the Romans. Days, he says, are determined by the moon. Can you read me the book of Genesis, brother? Chapter 1 and
3.
Just to get to the point, what do I want? The
4.
first day. Where
4
does it start? The first day.
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Yeah, bet. Read that.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 4. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
So we got a first day, right? Go ahead. Now, mind you, this can't be constituted when we're about to read the second day. The time period between the first day and the second day can't be constituted by the moon, because something specific is going to happen on the fourth day. Another thing, we can look at the moon cycle and see that it doesn't change as consistently as the days or at the same time and period. So it can't be constituted by the days, which is how we constitute our Sabbath, us over here, right? By the days, right? Yes, our months are constituted by the new moon, right? Weeks, I would say, are constituted by the days, right? We know that because weeks come from a calendar and a block that was made, which we're going to prove later on, right? Which the Most High gave us a form of, because he knew that we came from the Babylonians, because, Abraham was a Chaldean, which all this we're going to go over in this lesson here, right? And the Chaldeans are people that made the 7-day calendar under King Sargon, the Chaldean, right? the Scorpion King, right? So Abraham being born under that system kept that same system, and then Moses being born under that system as an Israelite, though he was in Egypt, which kept a 10-day system, he was brought up keeping a 7-day system. And the proof of that is the fact that once he left and went through the Exodus, the Most High gives us months, which are tracked by the moon, right? That we can block in a 7-day system the way we do now. All right. So, yeah, you got some?
How many days did it say? Because it said, you asked it, you said, is the moon perfect? And it said no. And then it said it's calculated
29
on
and a half days for the month.
29
Sometimes.
something like that. But how many days are supposed to be?
Sometimes it's 31 and a half, it says. So is it 29 and a half or 31 and a quarter? I mean,
but how many days are we supposed to be counting?
How in Israel would they measure 31 and a quarter, nigga? Back in the day. How they gonna do that? They got a calculator? Had a prism and compass?
I mean, you have to have one.
All right.
I don't know what they call, but whatever kind of scope you got to have to be able to do that. But it wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't, right? Jump to verse 8.
Kind. Verse 8. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
All right. Second day. Let's go to verse 13.
Kind. And the evening and the morning were the third day. This is after he did the herbs, the grass, the herbs, and everything that yield seed.
Trees
right.
Yielding fruit and seed. Right. So now I want you to go to 15 and read all the way to 19. Just smooth. Read it.
Verse 15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven.
Oh, wait. Salakia, 14, all the way down.
And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days.
Now, mind you, this can't be stars, right? Because we don't see stars in the daytime, unless you're talking about the star called the sun, right? Okay. So it's got to be the moon and the sun. I mean, yeah, right? Go ahead.
Hey, it said, and let them be for signs, seasons, and days, and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give.
Question would be, which one is for days and which one is for seasons and moons and stuff, right? Because one of them you use for everything. One of them is used for specific things. The sun is used for everything, right?
Right.
The moon you can't use for days specifically because it doesn't change with the days. But you know what does change with the days? The sun, right? Since everything comes from the white man now, according to Genesis, right? The good old white man is giving us a clock that we're about to see Greeks who are Israelite Hellenes actually created, right? And they named it Cronus, which the white man still calls and puts on all his clocks and watches today, ironically. But they made everything, right? So, we got Cronus, right? Time, and the Most High seems to be giving us hours from the white man, right? 12 of them, which also happens to be how many tribes we have. But they made that, right? They must be 12 sons of Esau somewhere that I don't know about. But we got that, right? If you put the 12 and the 12 together for like the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom split, like we got the split between the day and the night. I just did some Aharon stuff, right? That's not doctrine. That's just me saying stuff. But look. So we got 12 and 12 is 24, right? But that's a block of time that we could calculate with the sun. You can't do that with the moon. So I actually beg to differ. Days are not constituted by the moon at all. Only the sun, right? Keep reading.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
So look, once again, this can't be, man, We already had a day and a night. It was separated at the beginning in the first chapter. You know, this is talking about the stars and the moon. Well, how come both of those come out at night, nigga? What's dividing the daytime, like it just said right there? Smart guy. So don't say that. Don't bring that to the table, right? Because that came out in a debate, ironically. I think it was on accident, but I remember that. So, yeah, don't do that. Just saying. I love y'all, bro. So, yeah, that's just to prove days do not come from the moon. To think so is ludicrous.
Right? The calendar we use today and its predecessors didn't even exist at the time God appointed the Holy Sabbath day.
Hold on.
Now, he said the calendar we use wasn't done when the God appointed the Holy Sabbath day, right? He appointed the Holy Sabbath day officially with the Exodus, correct? During, the commandments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Exodus and the commandments is way after Mesopotamia, correct?
Okay.
All right. So Mesopotamia, for those of you guys that don't know, is the place where we called the Greeks. That's what the Greeks named the place Abraham is from as a whole, right? We called it Mesopotamia, as in the land the land between two rivers, right? That's what it means. We named it that because we had, history with the rivers being Hebrews, people that crossed them, right? Not the river Ron Dalton was talking about, but the river Deacon was talking about, right? Ironically, it's crazy. So yeah, Deacon seems to think, even though he knows which river we talking about, that the Greek people that made Mesopotamia got their calendar that they gave to the Greek the Romans, right? Or that I wouldn't say gave, that the Romans stole from them, right? And just renamed it, right? Like the Gregorian calendar. Niggas from them certain camps that keep the lunar calendar call it the Gregorian calendar. But the Gregorian calendar is just a calendar that was named Gregorian. It was called something else before that. They got the Julian calendar, which uses the same dates and stuff as the Gregorian calendar, right? One of them just has extra day or something like that. But it's the same block, right? 7-day weeks. So it's like, where'd they get that from? The Greeks, right? Where'd the Greeks get that from? Was it Satan? If the Greeks weren't Satan and they're Israelites, where'd the Greeks get it from? They got it from forefather Abraham, right? Proof? Let's see if we could find something that says that. We already know history about the Greeks. Let's get some history about Babylon. Do y'all remember at the Anointed House of Saints, right? Because we do history over here. We taught you guys the lesson about the Babylonians, right? In the captivity, right? Assyria and Babylon. We went into the Babylonians and the Assyrians and where they come from in the first part of that lesson. It was 2-part, right? And we showed you guys Sargon and all the Chaldean kings that ruled in Babylon and Assyria, right? So when we go through that, right, we find out even in the Bible that Abraham, right, was born of Ur of the Chaldees, right, which is a place in Babylon. So Abraham, technically, by definition, would have been, right? We say all the time, Abraham's not an Israelite. But niggas never say what Abraham is. Abraham was a Mesopotamian Babylonian from Ur and a Chaldean, which is a sect of the Mesopotamian Babylonians, right? Or the Sumerians, as other people called them, right? So we see Abraham was born in 2166 BC, right? Now watch this. Deacon told us that the calendar that we got came from the Babylonians, right? The Babylonians is who Abraham comes from, right? But then he said it was transferred from the Babylonians straight past the Greeks to the Romans, right? But the Greeks were us, and the Romans stole everything from us. We're going to prove that. Before that, though, right? When was this calendar made? Because let's prove it was actually in existence. It was in existence when the Most High instituted the Holy Sabbath. Because Deacon said it wasn't, right? Let's refresh your memory right quick.
Didn't even exist we use today, and its predecessors didn't even exist at the time God appointed the Holy Sabbath day.
Deacon thinks this because through his rushed history, right? I love you though, brother. But through your rushed history, You went through and said that the Greeks, or the Romans rather, right, created this calendar. But then you went back, double back, and said the Babylonians created this calendar, right? Well, which one is it? Because there's two types of Babylonians, right? There's the Babylonians that put us in captivity, and then there's the Babylonians before them, which, would be like the people of Akkad and Uruk, right? Mesopotamia, right? There's a Babylonian from them too. So but the people that made the calendar, right, are the folks Abraham comes from. We just saw the date Abraham was born, right? Watch this. When was the calendar created? By the Babylonians. According to historical evidence, because Deacon told us historical evidence, but he put it on a slide, right? This comes from the origins of the days and the weeks from livescience.com, right? We also have one from history.com, right? I'm going to show you. And this is his astronomy magazine that he used, right? Britannica also tells us about the Romans, right? But they mention the Greeks, right? So we're going to even Constantine, who we talked about, right? Who is a descendant of the Greeks. But what's to say about the Babylonians in their 7-day calendar? It was created approximately. So could have been way before this too, right? But approximately from what they find, the furthest piece of evidence they could dig up comes from 2300 BC. That's approximately, if this date isn't too short, right? That's 134 years before Abraham's birth, people. If they got a king like Sargon, who's ruler of the natural known world at that time, you don't think it's going to be hard for them to institute the whole 7-day calendar for everybody in his nation? Everybody in his kingdom? You think it's going to take 100 years for that to happen? No. So I guarantee you for a fact, by the time Abraham was born in 2100 BC, right, that they most definitely had that 7-day calendar that they were using. And that by the time Moses comes on the scene and gives us the Sabbath through the Most High, when the Most High gives us the Sabbath, right, through Moses, right, we see clearly that Moses is way after Abraham. If Abraham was living under this calendar, why wouldn't Moses also know about the calendar? If our people were living under a calendar in a sect of time before we went to Egypt, and we have proof that the Hyksos had their own way of keeping time, Sakari, which these guys come from, teach that we were a sect of the Hyksos, right? I believe they call them the Anu or something like that, right? You can't contradict all the history that you've taught before. So the Hyksos had their own way of keeping time separate than the Egyptians, which kept a 10-day calendar. Our 7-day calendar would have been that, right? Since the Hyksos are people that would have been under the Babylonian, visorship, rulership, place of worship, right? Place of being, territory, right? So this is what we have to understand. You feel me? These things don't add up. And that's what needs to happen. Things got to add up, right? Let me show you this right quick. So we just proved that the Babylonians had the 7-day calendar, right? Before Moses was even a thought. The Babylonians, or Mesopotamians rather, right? Here it says, right? Let me read it for you. According to historical evidence, the Babylonians are credited with developing the 7-day week calendar around the time of King Sargon of Akkad, right? Who was a Chaldean person, which would mean he's of the same stock of Abraham, literally, right? Which dates back to before Abraham's birth, approximately 2300 BC. Notice in the other slide, they told you for a fact they know when Abraham was born because Isaac was born 100 when he was 100, and they have the date for Isaac's birth is what they say, right? This is approximate because it's only the furthest evidence they could go back is 2300 BC. I guarantee you they had one before this. Right? Because me personally, I think there was something like a Sabbath. Because even in Deacon's thing, like on astronomy.com, it tells you that the Babylonians had a 7-day custom and that they rested on the 7th day. I feel like Noah knew that. So he taught it to his sons. Shem being one of his sons, the Babylonians being a people who had Ham and Shem influence due to, good old Nimrod and Cush, right, being over there for a time. So we got all of that happening. Why wouldn't they all know about the 7-day Sabbath? Which is why the Babylonians were keeping a 7-day Sabbath, right? Abraham kept a 7-day Sabbath, I'm sure. We see that we were taught and given a 7-day Sabbath. Like, why would you keep the Feast of First Fruits but not a Sabbath? I mean, I'm just saying, right? You got to rest someday. So, like, look at this. 2300 BC, we have the calendar before Abraham. Why wouldn't he be born under that same calendar and use that same calendar if the people that are his people made that same calendar? So that there is proof that it doesn't come from the quote-unquote beast system. It comes from our ancestor Abraham. Which is why when we meet the Most High officially and go into the covenant, he starts the covenant with the feast that we're supposed to keep in a month called Abib, because we already have a calendar, brother. We already have ways to separate and block out our time. We have a moon to tell us when the months renew, right? But the reason we already have this calendar is because Abraham, Jacob, Isaac, right? They all come from one people, the people that made the calendar. So they would definitely be under it. I yield with that. So we got the Greeks, right? We've shown. We also proved, right? Well, I got to pull this up. I'll save that for what's about to come out.
Neither were they given to the Israelites by the Most High, but rather by the beast Satan. All you Israelites believe the white man.
So we just proved that he didn't know what he was talking about there, right? Deacon knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything, right? We just proved he doesn't know much about Greek or the Greeks, because Greek is just another word for Hellene, and the Hellenes are Israelites. The people of Sparta were Israelites. The Lacedaemonians of Lacedaemon were Israelites. The people of Athens originally that had the boule were Israelites. That's why in America they have the boule. They're only niggas. Ain't no white boule here. Why'd they do that? Because America's a copycat. They wanted to give us a gatekeeper sect, just like we had gatekeepers back in Greece, the place we founded, right? We looked up the Sabbaton, which I'll show you guys in a minute. It linked the Greeks right back to the Israelites and said they kept the same Sabbath. So this calendar was given to us by the Most High, right? It was used by Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Moses, which is why Moses already had a month given to him, Abib, right, to begin things. And at the feast days, we're going to be, started by months or associated with months. Why would they be associated with months if we didn't have a calendar? If we weren't using a calendar and it came from the beast system, we'd have no reason to name the moons. We would just count day until the moon gets dark and then start over. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5 until the moon gets dark and then start over. And so on and so on. There would be no reason to name any months, to separate anything or categorize anything if we didn't have a calendar that came from the Babylonians, which actually birthed Abraham. Okay.
And is the damn devil according to the Bible, and Rome is the beast system, and the revised Roman Empire, NATO, and EU is the beast system.
But we teach that the beast system doesn't make anything. They just steal and kill, destroy, rape, rob, and pillage, right? How did they do all of that? But then all of a sudden they made time. They made the calendar. But the Babylonians made the calendar. But the Romans stole the calendar. Who'd they steal it from? The Greeks. We're going to prove it. You didn't tell nobody that, though, because they could have looked it up. And then when they look up Greek, it comes up on Google. through the AI overview as Helene. And any smart Israelite knows that Helene is the word for Israelite that are Gentiles in the New Testament. Why the New Testament? Because by the time the New Testament was written, we were already speaking and had the known language of Koine Greek. We created that language. It's all connecting. You see why I teach you guys the way we teach? We might have the best lessons in the whole nation. It's amazing that you guys are in this little camp. We be teaching stuff nobody else teach, right?
Right? And it's true. The Bible says that. There will be.
It's right. It's true. The Bible says that.
Some that say the devil's beast calendar somehow matches with God's holy calendar. That's laughable. And you would need.
But the beast's seal matches with our seal, right? You were part of Sakari. Ain't the big symbol y'all got the so-called Star of David? What they got on that Jewish flag? The so-called Star of David? So we can have the same seal. We can have the same land. But they not going to steal the new moon from us too, nigga? Come on, guys. We got to be real. We got to be real. Be honest. Does that make any sense? What do you mean it's laughable? They stole everything else. They even wear all black because they know the Jews are black. Right? They only claim Jews. They don't claim Southern Kingdom. They ain't got to wear brown. They wear black because they know the Jews are black. Job said, my skin is black upon me. So the niggas put on a black suit. They literally steal everything. They got curly hair, curly fries and stuff. Because the Bible talks about locks. They've changed and added a definition to locks. Right? So it's like they steal everything. What do you mean? It's laughable that we would have the same calendar as the heathen. Same new moon as the heathen. The heathen stole everything from us. The only new moon they gonna know is what they found in the records, brother. Ironically, they didn't find nothing about no lunar, nothing, because they ain't doing it. You know, they know about the moon and the lunar stuff. The Bible tells us don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven like the heathen are dismayed. Ain't they the chief heathen? The border of wickedness? The kings of astronomy? The website you went on to look up the Babylonians making the calendar? Why wouldn't they know about the lunar Sabbath? But ironically, them choosing to be us, the people that say they are Jews but are not, are keeping the Sabbath they found in the records. Not the lunar one, right? All right.
Need to prove that. The true Sabbath revealed, most of the world has been deceived. How? How'd they get deceived? Because what the white man says goes. The Bible says this European beast system would deceive.
You see, so far, according to the history, the white man is not even involved in anything we spoke about so far. Am I right, Boaz?
Right.
Have we heard or referred to anything that the white man is even involved in?
All
right.
The world. One way would be by calendrical deception, leading the world into idolatry via Saturn worship. Revelation 12:9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. It's the Roman Empire and the rebirth.
This wasn't how we were deceived. We were deceived through like Christianity and stuff. Not this, I promise you. Even the Seventh-day Adventists know what things Sabbath to do. Why? Because the records don't lie.
Revised Roman Empire. 7:25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change the times and laws.
The times and laws, not the days, brother. Sabbath day. It's not the Sabbath time. It's the Sabbath day. He ain't changed no days. He adopted the calendar. He didn't make the calendar. You even said he took it from the Babylonians. So they didn't make shit. Slakia, nothing. Right? They made nothing. So they adopted it from the Babylonians. And it's still in a 7-day period. They just changed the names. Is this something they changed? Does this constitute for changed times? Or does changed times like the beginning of the year is the dead of winter instead of the earth of fall? I mean, the earth of spring. Right? The life of spring, rather. I said earth. The life of spring, which shows the earth. It comes back to life. Right? In the winter, everything's dead. So they changed the times. They made you think that you know, New Year is dead time, right? That's an example of changing the times, changing the laws. It's okay to be a homosexual. You will still get the kingdom if you cut your nuts off and have surgery to have boobs and become a man, or I mean a woman. But you were a man, right? That's changing times and laws. Days not included. Even by your words, they didn't change no days. They adopted the calendar from the Babylonians. Can't contradict yourself. You got to make it make sense.
And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the years is of strong.
You're going to fast forward past this.
There's going to be people who are.
Hold on.
God, they Sabbath calendar. God to the pulling down of stronghold.
Yeah.
That's what
we the one pulling them down. It looked like, you know what I'm saying? They didn't even know what a Greek was. But I love you, brother. For real, I do.
Both we're doing today.
Pulling. But y'all can't call us idolaters and you don't even know what a Greek is. That's laughable. Right? Haha. Gotcha.
Down the stronghold of the beast calendar, Satan's calendar, the devil's calendar, the Sabbath that was originated, Saturday Sabbath was created, excuse me, to worship
Most High God. I'm stuttering. Yeah, I thought I was the only one.
Satan.
Mm-hmm. So we're worshiping Satan because of Saturn, right? Let's debunk that one. As we said, the Romans didn't make anything, right? The Greeks are Israelites. Let's prove that one more time, right? Hold on. Wait a holy sucking minute. So look, did the Greeks call themselves Greek? No. The ancient Greeks referred to themselves as Hellenes. The term Hellene comes from the mythological figure Helen, the son of Deculion, right? Deculion, okay? The second lion. Decu, what's that? 7th? 6th? Deci. Deci's 5, 10, 10th line. I don't know. But 10th line, right? Okay, so the 10th line, Empira, right? Hellenes was the first appeared in the writings in 584 BC, right? So we got Hellene, which we know is the word for the Gentile Israelites in the New Testament. The reason a lot of y'all don't know why it's Hellene and not Jew or something like that is because of the history that y'all don't get taught at your camps that we teach at Anointed House of Saints. Yeah, look, there was a people called the Greeks, right? That started with the tribe of Dan. Just to reiterate it one more time, we had Joshua 19 and 40, right? Dan gets the Joppa coast. Ezekiel 27, 13 and 19. Dan is a traitor with Javan, and Judah comes on to join them, right? So now they're going back and forth from Javan, which is Greece, right? History, real history, historians tell us that the place called Cyprus was founded by the tribe called Dan, who then was called the Danans. They found it in 1500 or 1485 BC. We just saw, right, that the first time the word Hellene was used was in 584 BC, which means the tribe of Dan and Judah, which got to Greece as the Malseans. You see the red line right there for Perez and Zerah, right, the literal tribe of Judah. You got them coming as the Malseans, who are literal kin to the Dorians, right, in 1000 BC. History, real historians tell us that the Malseans became the Anglo-Saxons and the Jutes and the Gauls, right? And Dan, or the Danans, or the Dorians after them, who did the Dorian invasion, right? They would later become the Danes and the Franks, and also part of the Gauls, and a people called the Celts, right? And the Scythians and the Lacedaemonians, right? Which also, according to Israelite historian Josephus, the Lacedaemonians was a split between Dan and a part of Simeon that came over with the southern kingdom as the Malseans. Okay, so we're all the Greeks. We create the language called the Greek, Koine Greek specifically, right? which is why when the Romans came into power, they create a language called Latin, because Greek was not theirs, it was ours, right? We created the god pantheon of the Greeks, right? Zeus is a mix of Yahweh and Yahweh. Dane or Dan or Odin is a mix of Yahweh and the forefather of Dan. Hercules or Heraklim is a word for Hebrew for merchants or traders, which is what the tribe of Dan was, right? And we see it's even in the AI overview. The Greek name for Hercules, who's also part of the Greek god pantheon, who then became Thor through the process of apotheosis, which is the Greek way of making a mortal man a god, which is how all of them became gods, right? Hercules is their version or their name for our man Samson, and Samson through apotheosis becomes Thor. You understand? The whole Greek god pantheon comes from us, right? Y'all just didn't know that because you don't know jack crap about history, which is why you need to get into it, right? Okay. So that's just the breakdown to explain to you why we're associated with the Greeks, okay? Back to it. Now, we got Cronus, right? Because he said something about Saturn. Saturn. Well, Cronus, time, right? Cronus, the Greek titan, was associated with the Roman god Saturn, whose namesake of the English is where we get the day of the week, Saturday. Watch this. The Romans identified Saturn with the Greek Cronus, right? This comes from the Greek mythology.com. So they know about it, right? The Romans identified Saturn with the Greek Cronus, whose myths were adapted for Latin literature and Roman art, not Greek art and Greek literature, because Greek and Latin and Roman are different. They're not the same. They're not even associated with each other except for the alphabets that they use, because the Latins stole that from the Greeks, right? So, in particular, Cronus' role in the genealogy of the Greek gods was transferred to Saturn, aka everything you know about Saturn literally comes from Cronus, because it was just transferred and adapted for Latin literature and Roman art. You know how we call David Dawad and they call him David? David. They've adopted his name, adapted it for Yiddish literature and Jewish art, right? We the Israelites, we have Dawad, right? For Israelite literature and Israelite Hebrew art. You see how that works? It's no new thing under the sun. It just changes names. We were the Greeks. We had Cronus. They pulled up. They choose, Saturn, right? We the Israelites. We have Yahweh. They pull up. They got Jesus. And they changed the whole meaning of Yahweh, right? But his genealogy, his role in the genealogy comes from Yahweh. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Okay. So we see the Romans didn't make Saturday or Saturn. They got it from Cronus. Now something else, right? Since we know that Saturday is Saturday, the day that we have the 7th day of the week, what was significant about Cronus Day, right? Well, according to the Greeks, who were Israelites, right? God damn, man. Hold on a second. All right. According to the Greeks, all right. Okay. Hold on, guys. Goodness gracious, man. Damn. Say something. Not
Hey, if y'all tuning in, and you ain't fell asleep yet, man, drop a 7 in the chat. Have an open discussion with these brothers. Hey, I mean, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I know I've seen some brothers that's been posting stuff as far as like having an open discussion, and that might be something that, I don't know if Adonai Eliel is going to be into having an open discussion with brothers You know what I'm saying? I don't think he gonna do it.
I would have done it if they stayed for the first one. See, all this information could have came out in front of all the elders, and we wouldn't be having this conversation 4 years later, right? But brothers walked out the conversation, and then instead of having another closed door debate, they wanted to get on the internet and make brothers seem like idolaters. So I have no conversation for this topic. We're just going to show how we're not idolaters and show that they don't know nothing about history or who the Greeks are or what the word Hellene means, even though they teach that Hellene means Israelite.
If you a lunar solar keeper, go ahead and drop a one.
No, don't do that. Don't do that because I don't want to look at the chat. I want to finish teaching. If you a lunar solar keeper, watch the lesson and learn something, nigga. How about that? Right? So back to what I was saying. The Greeks, right? The Greeks had Cronus, who we just proved, right? Is where Saturday comes from, right? The Romans identified Saturday with the Greek Cronus, right? Whose myths were adapted for literature and Roman art. All right. Cronus' role in genealogy to Greek gods was transferred to Saturn. So Deacon failed to tell us that Saturn didn't come from the white man. Saturn was a name the white man gave to a Greek god called Cronus. Cronus was a Greek god, or the Greek name rather, for the pantheon god of Yahweh, right? Another form of Zeus. Zeus as the keeper of time, right? All right, my bad. So, Cronus, right?
You just went Cronus just now.
I did. That little boy, chill out. Stop hearing things outside and barking. I told him to shut up. So, Romans identified Saturn with Cronus, right? Something else that the brother didn't tell us about Saturday is that, see, Satan trying to take away the word as it's being sown in y'all hearts, right? The Sabbath. But no, you can't. Watch this. The Greeks, right? These Hellenized Israelites, Hellenes, because they didn't call themselves Greeks, they were Hellenes. The Greeks that passed everything to the Romans because the Romans stole it from them once they took them over. That's how the Lacedaemonians and all them people became in captivity, right? Those that weren't in Judea, they all got put in captivity as the Greeks, as they're known in history, right? Well, these people, also the people that created Cronus, right? The god of time, space, and wealth, right? Ironically, things associated with the Most High. Well, they also had this thing called the Sabbath that they practiced on Cronus Day, which, according to Saturn, was transferred to Saturday. So it's the 7th day of the week, right? And the Greek had a definition for this word Sabbaton, which ironically is where you get Sabbath from, which ironically happens to be a rendition or transliteration of the word Shabbat, which is Hebrew, right? But watch the definition. Watch the etymology of Sabbaton, which is a Greek word. And the Greeks are Hellenized Israelites, Hellenes. It says Sabbaton is a Greek word that refers to the 7th day of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? Okay. A sacred festival when Israelites. Why did it switch from Greek to Israelite? Because AI knows they the same people, you duck monkey. I had to say it. I love you, brothers, though. So, the Israelites, right, were required to abstain from work. It also refers to the institution of keeping the 7th day of the week holy, right? Damn. Wait, what's the origin of Sabbaton? Because brothers might say they're just, Sabbaton comes from the Hebrew word Shabbat, which means rest, which is why they were resting. So he tells us, they said that Saturn is the Greek god, right? I mean, it's the Roman god, Saturn. So when you're worshiping Saturday, you're out here worshiping Saturn, right? When you worship on Saturday, you're worshiping Saturn, right? But they don't understand Saturday was just named Saturday. It's actually Cronus Day. And Cronus Day is the day of the Sabbaton to the Greeks. And the Sabbaton is the 7th day Sabbath. If Saturn is Saturday and Sabbaton was Cronus, that means Sabbaton was Saturday. Ding, 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 ding. So the Greek Israelites kept the Sabbath day on Saturday. We're going to see why, right? But Deacon didn't know that, because Deacon didn't know that the Greeks are Israelites and that the Romans are not Greeks. They're a different people, right? Alexander and Philip were only called the Greek because they were enslaved to the Lacedaemonians who ruled over Macedon, the tribe of Dan, Sparta, right? Athens, them people. When you look at the history, Macedon was known as the barbaric people to the Athenians. They were the slave class until they rose up and took over. We were the Athenians. Leonidas and him, his name was Leonidas because lion is a word that the Israelites used, right? Mainly the tribe of Judah, which was the Mycenaeans that got there in 1000 BC. Leonidas must have been from the southern kingdom. That's where a lot of the Athenians were from. The Boule. Ironically, no new thing under the sun. The whole Boule in America is niggas. Southern kingdom, as we teach, right? So the Greeks had a Sabbath. The Greeks were the Hellenes. The Greeks were the ones that the Romans took Cronus from and renamed it Saturn, which is where Saturday comes from. Well, when the Greeks had the day, before the Romans took it, the Greeks were celebrating a holy Sabbath festival where they abstain from work. The definition refers to the Greeks as Israelites, as you see on the screen, because history refers to the Greeks as Hellenes, which is what they called themselves, not Greek. And the Bible tells us that the Hellenes are the Israelites. This in itself cuts their entire doctrine. I haven't even got to the part where he's going to admit to this, not knowing what he said, because Tertullian actually told everybody that the Saturday Sabbath from Saturn is different and is nothing like the customs of the Jews of the Sabbaton. Deacon only gave you a piece of the quote. I'm going to give it to you and put it in context, right? This is what happens when you don't know history. But they know a lot. I will say that. So, let's put a video back up. Let him say some more stuff that ain't true. Hold on a second. We almost done, guys. I see Boaz getting sleepy over there.
Nah, man.
I don't want you to read no more. So if you want to jump down and just watch, you can. You feel free. You know what I mean?
I got drywall dust in my eye.
Oh, that's not good. You need some water, homie. Not to be rubbing it with your drywall fingers. Just
well, I wash my hands.
Right? What'd you say earlier, Hassad? Prove all things. This will be proven. You wanted to say something?
Hey, put a 7 in the chat if we've proven that the Greeks are Israelites and that this doesn't come from Saturn. Put a 7 in the chat. I want to see it. If you've been paying attention, real quick. One time for the one time. Tell them on, Clyde. I wrote without anything that we proved it. Okay, we got some 7s. We got some 7s. All right. Okay, just making sure y'all up, wake. Okay. We tearing down some strongholds, huh?
Yeah, and I just got to keep reiterating, family, like one of the slides just said, there's going to be people who are going to attempt to say that it's a coincidence that God's calendar and Satan's calendar are both the exact same. How foolish does that sound?
It's astonishing that Satan didn't make anything, so he would use the same calendar that God made, right? Why wouldn't he? Satan's using the seal that God made for us, the lily and the pomegranate. He put it on the flag. Didn't we take that back? 2nd Esdras 10 and 22 and 23 tells us we have to take that back. They stole it from us, right? 2nd Esdras 10 verses 22 to 23 explains that, right? Along with the menorah, all the things they took. We all use the dark moon. Y'all use the dark moon. The heathen use the dark moon. When you look up the moon phase calendar, it tells you that the dark moon is the new moon. Why? Because the heathen are keeping that. They didn't make anything. They're keeping what they found in the records because they're trying to be the real people. In a debate, you guys would say that if a Christian is trying to make a claim to why the Jewish people are the Jews and we're not, or something like that, y'all would explain that they're pretending to be us, but they're those that say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. But in this situation, when you want to be right, all of a sudden Esau made everything. Even though you had to double back because there's a Google, right? There's AI. You had to double back and say it's not actually the beast calendar. It comes from Babylon. You can't call Babylon a beast in itself without clarifying, because Abraham is a Babylonian. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got to make it make sense.
We're talking about the people who literally lie about everything. They told us
they didn't lie about the new moon. They didn't lie about the seal of Israel. They didn't put 9 points on what they call the star.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't lie about the location. Y'all just did a debate on that, right? So did they lie about everything, Hassan? You see what I'm saying? When you want to be right, they do whatever they do, right? They make everything. But also when you want to be right, they're a vagabond, they're heathen, they steal, rob, kill, destroy, pillage. They didn't make anything. They're a vagabond on the earth. I could pull up a video with y'all saying that. But in this video, they made everything. Everything's the devil's. This is part of the beast system. Okay.
Jesus was white. They told us God is white. The law is done away with. We're not the Israelites. Jesus is God. All these various things. And you think that they got the Sabbath right? Like, let's be.
We're not getting the Sabbath from them. They're practicing the Sabbath off of the records. They didn't even get the Sabbath from them. Just like everything else that we just proved that they got, that they do correctly, like the new moon, the seal of Israel, the location. That's from the records, right? What else is in the records? The new moon. And we're going to show you guys some of the records today. Historically documented records, not a PowerPoint with some pictures on it and some words that I typed, right? Mind you, my PowerPoint had sources on it. There's not one source or page number or anything unless he wanted to post it. None of this stuff in the first 15 minutes has any page numbers. It's just, stuff we already debunked with a simple Google search. We're only 7 minutes in, and we've had to talk about an hour and 37 minutes worth of stuff, because that's how much stuff we were able to debunk, right? Of this lunar Sabbath based off of his PowerPoint.
Be serious here, man.
Powerful point. Continuing, slide 12. This is the god of Saturn. This
is important because I just told you guys about Cronus, right? Being the god of time, wealth, agriculture, right? We just saw, according to a simple Google search, right? And the AI overview of the best, most likely result to give you the right answer, right? It told us that Saturn actually was adopted by the Romans from the Greek god Cronus. All they did was change the name and give all of Cronus attributes to Saturn. We proved to you that Cronus came from Israelites because the Greeks were Israelites. Javan and them, Japhet's people, never called themselves Greeks. They had names like the Minoans and the Massians, the Ashkenazi, the people of Cyprus, right? They didn't have Saturn, right? So they didn't have they didn't have Saturn, right? Cronus was a name that the Greeks had, okay, for their god. For their Saturday. That's what it was called, Cronus. We just showed you that on Cronus Day, they did something called the Sabbaton, or the Sabbath, right? The 7-day rest, right? And here we see on his own PowerPoint that Saturn is the god of agriculture, wealth, and time, proving that this is just taken from Cronus. So it's not actually Saturn worship. If you want to call it anything, it's Sabbaton worship, because that's what they did on the day of Cronus. The Sabbaton or Sabbath, right?
Keep your eye on that. The weekly sacred day of Saturn, known as Dies Saturni, in Latin corresponds to what we know now called Saturday, right?
Dies Saturni is not Saturnalia, which is a festival where you would worship Saturn. But you see, brothers know that y'all not going to look up anything, so you wouldn't know that. Saturnalia is not Dies Saturni. Dies Saturni literally means Saturday. Saturni, Saturn, Dies, day. Day of Saturn. Before, it was Dies Chronos. Day of Cronus, right? Dies Sabbaton, day of the Sabbath, because that's what it was from the Greeks, who were before the Romans, who the Romans got their civilization from, the Greeks, right? So this also is the slide due to lack of history. Had it been known, he wouldn't have made the slide.
In Roman culture, this day was dedicated to Saturn, the god of agriculture.
In Roman culture, this day was dedicated to Saturn. After the Maccabees take over the Romans, right? John Hyrcanus and them made it so that we were always able to keep Saturni. Yahushua didn't have a problem keeping the Sabbath, did he? Boaz?
Wow.
No, because there were already things, according to Israelite historian Josephus and Israelite historian Philo, that were put in place after this time period to make sure that we could keep the Sabbath, right? Under the Roman period, right, there were the Greeks as Alexander and them, right? Once they become the Romans, we're not able to keep the Sabbath day and the feast. We start to keep Saturnalia, right? We worship Saturn on that day. Okay? Once we take back over Septimius Severus in them, right? We reestablish Sabbaton. We let go of the Latin language from the Greeks, from the Romans, and we reestablish the Greek language of koine. That's why the Septuagint is not in Latin, it's in koine Greek. Because Jerome, the Hebrew Israelite, translated it in a language for our new subjects, the Romans, who at this time spoke Latin, because we just took them over. Even the high class of our people decided we were going to keep Latin around for a time. We taught that in our second half of the Dan lesson, right? This is why you need to be in our classes, because we teach you guys stuff that other people, I guess, don't know to teach. I don't know what the deal is, but clearly this whole lesson was done because he thinks the Greeks and the Romans are the same people, not knowing and realizing that he teaches Hellene are the Israelites, and Hellene is what a Greek is. Greek was not a Greek in history. Greek is what you call a Greek now. If you were back during the time of the so-called Greeks, you were called a Hellene. The word Greek didn't exist.
Well, in time.
Which means they were Israelites, which is why they kept Sabbaton on the 7th day, not the lunar, right? Because the lunar is inconsistent. It wouldn't give you a perfect 7-day Sabbath, so you rest on the 7th day. You'd rest on the 6.5 day, or the 8.5 or 8.25, right? Like it says, the new moon either has 29.5 days or 31.25, right? So it's inconsistent. That's why we have the sun, to give us a consistent track of time.
Right?
That's why our days and our hours in the days are numbered by the sun, not the moon, to give us a consistent track of time.
Israelites had zero influence on the Romans' honor and worship of Saturn on Saturn's day.
Now you see, this was a very big point because it proves he didn't know not a lick of what he was talking about here. The Israelites had every bit of influence on the Romans' honor and worship of Saturday, because the honor and worship of Saturday was only a day that they got the idea of from the Sabbaton of Cronus from the Israelite Greeks, which was also worshipped on Cronus Day, or the Sabbaton, which is now known as Saturday, right? Which is why I don't teach Saturday as a day of Saturn. I teach Saturday as a day you sat your ass down, because it's a rest day. That's what a Greek would say. And the Greeks are Israelites, right? And I told you guys I traced my family back to the tribe of Dan now. So I might have been one of these people, which is probably why I know the history. There's no new thing under the sun. Spirit correlates with it, right? So, beep, 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 beep. Now,
Sources prove
his sources aren't on the page. I showed you guys things you could look up. The sources are connected to the AI overview. You just got to click the little button, right? I even showed you guys the Google searches while I was showing you guys the thing. So rewind the video after we finish. Look the stuff up on your own time so you can put it in your notes, right? Don't just look at a PowerPoint with no sources on it, with words that he typed up that he was clearly wrong about.
the Romans adopted the weekly planetary system from Babylon.
And we see that Babylon was where Abraham was born. The Chaldee of the Urs is in Babylon, right? Mesopotamia, right? And the calendar was actually made by Mesopotamians, not New Age Babylonians, right? It was made before Abraham was born, which means Abraham was born in it because it was born in the city. It was made in the city he was born, by the people he was born from, the Chaldeans, under the greatest Chaldean king of the place known as Babylon or Mesopotamia, right? Sargon, the Scorpion king, who, according to his people, right, in history, just to prove they were connected to Abraham, we also teach black as a name only for the Israelites, right? Black as a name only for the chosen descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Well, we mentioned Abraham in that sentence, and ironically, there's something we could look up associated with Abraham's people, right? Shinar, which is a place over there. The Greeks later called this place Mesopotamia, but the Sumerians were people known as black-headed ones, right? So these wasn't no DJ Khaled looking people. These was niggas that we talking about here, right? Over here in Mesopotamia, that Abraham comes from, the Chaldea, right? So that's how we get down, right? These people was who we come from. These Babylonians, so-called, that made this calendar in 2300 approximately BC, right? If Abraham's born in 2166 BC, that means he's born under this calendar. That means he passes this calendar because he's living in this calendar to Isaac and Jacob, who would then pass the knowledge of the calendar to Moses, which is why when Moses got the commandments, the Most High starts our laws and feast days with a month, which would only be associated with the calendar, the month of Abib. Once again, you wouldn't need a calendar if you're not keeping track of a block of time to track the new moons, right? Your block of time is associated with days, and it's always been 7. It's just what it is. It's what history shows. The real history and archaeology that we've showed you guys already in the video, right?
Not Israel. And Babylon is accredited to be the originators of the 7-day planetary week.
Babylon is, but when you actually look into it, it's Babylon through Mesopotamia. So you got to go back into the history. It's not the Babylonians that took us into captivity. It's the Babylonians that were ruled by the Chaldean people that had Abraham attached to it. Before Abraham's sect left through Abraham and became the Israelites, the people that would be the Israelites, the stock that the Israelites would come from, are the same people that made this calendar. We showed it to you. If you didn't see it, rewind, right?
Astronomy.com.
We don't even need to see that because we already looked at that.
Are credited with originating the 7-day week. They based it on their observations of the 7 celestial bodies, right? Reiterating that. Ancient sources. You said what?
I didn't say anything.
Ancient sources, right? Watch this. Saturday became a sacred day to honor Saturn in all of Rome. Because there's some Israelites that try to say, oh, well, it was just the Israelites who were in Rome having a...
He said something about the planets, right?
Oh, well, and all this...
Link it back to Babylon.
Celestial bodies, in the 7-day week. They based it on their observations of the seven celestial bodies, right? Reiterating that. Ancient.
And then he skipped. Okay. So he's trying to say that the Babylonians are who the Romans got their 7-day bodies from, right? He says, based on their observation, the 7-day celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, this number held particular significance to them, and they divided the lunar months into 4 7-day weeks, right? But the Greeks, the Israelites, knew about this, right? Guess what? History shows us, not the PowerPoint, right? Simple Google search. Hold on. My bad. I just saw this. I got so many windows open. Hold on. Identify Saturn Cronus. Here it go. All right. All right. This one. Look. The Romans adopted the 5 planets that he just talked about that were visible to the eye from the Greeks and changed them to Roman names. So did they get them from the Babylonians or did they get them from us? He said that the Israelites had no influence whatsoever, right? So, yeah. And we know that, the Greeks didn't call themselves Greeks. They referred to themselves as Hellenes since 584 BC, after Judah and Dan are in the land. Right? These Hellenized Greeks are the ones that came up with this pantheon of names for the planets, and Rome stole the names from them. Right? So, I mean, the proof is astonishing, guys. It's crazy that brothers didn't know this.
Their observations of the seventh. He said, well, Saturday became a sacred day to honor Saturn in all of Rome. Because there's some Israelites that try to say
it did. Once it was a constitution made that we could no longer celebrate the Sabbath, they made laws to make us celebrate Saturn. This is fact, right? But was that under Israelite rule? No, that was in captivity. Once we got it back, there's a Sabbath we went back to, right? In proof of this, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because hold on, let me make sure he's not gonna say something else. Yeah, we good. All right, bet. So let's jump to 14. We about to be finished. About to be done. All right.
So, Tertullian, early church father. Some of these early church fathers can be considered historians. We're not Tertullian. He lived upon chapter 16. If we devote Sunday.
This is a quote from Tertullian. All right. Listen carefully.
Right. What does he say in Apology chapter 16? If we devote Sunday to rejoicing from a far different reason than sun worship, we have some resemblance to those of you who devote the day of Saturn to ease and luxury. Proving that.
Now, look, we saw, right, real quick. He says that if we devote Sunday to rejoicing, so if Sunday is for happiness, right, from a far different reason than sun worship, right? Why? Because you're not worshiping Sunday. It's happy because now you get to go do your things. You didn't finish resting. It's your first day of the week, right? This is an Israelite historian, as he said. He doesn't understand what's being spoken about here, though, right? Probably the lack of context and knowledge of the history, but I'm going to explain it. So we devote Sunday to happiness, far from different reason than sun worship, right? Because it's different, being happy about the Sabbath being over and you getting to start working again, as opposed to you worshiping the sun, right? We have some resemblance, right? Being able to go back and work again, have the freedom to do what we want on Sunday, some resemblance to those of you who devote your day of Saturn to ease and luxury. Ease is, relaxed mind, and luxury is another word for freedom, right? like some translations, I think it's 1 Corinthians 18 or 10 and 18, something like that. It says, don't let this freedom be a stumbling block to those of you that are weak. Some of it says, don't let this liberty be a stumbling block to those of you that are weak. Some of it says, don't let this luxury be a stumbling block to those of you that are weak. Because luxury can mean freedom. It can mean liberty, right? The luxury gives you the ability to do whatever you want. When you have money, you have the luxury to do whatever you want. When you have money, you can live in luxury, which is above everybody else, right? So it's a word that constitutes you doing whatever you want. On Sunday, the Israelites or the Jews would be happy. They'd be rejoicing from a different reason from sun worship. The reason would be because they're happy about being able to do whatever they want, which they couldn't do the day before, which is why he says this right after. You devote your day of Saturn. Who devote the day of Saturn to ease and luxury, though they too go far away from Jewish ways, of which they are indeed ignorant. Why did he mention Jewish ways and then being ignorant? Because the Jewish ways he's talking about is them keeping the Sabbath on Saturday, not having ease and luxury. The Jewish customs he's talking about they're ignorant of is how he and we devote our Sunday to rejoicing, because we're happy that the Sabbath is over. We could go do whatever we want. Whereas they was doing whatever they want on Saturday, the day we was resting. They don't know nothing about Jewish ways of which they are ignorant. That's the context of this quote here that Deacon falsely misrepresented, or falsely represented, I should say. The reason he falsely represented it is because he doesn't know the history. He said that Tertullian's a Jew, which is true. Why wouldn't Tertullian know about the Sabbath day? He's comparing the Saturday Sabbath to the Saturday ignorance of Saturday, where you don't keep the Sabbath or the Sabbaton from Cronus. You do the opposite. You do what you want. Right? And what's crazy is he's going to basically explain that, but doesn't know what he's talking about as far as the context of the Jewish ways, which they're ignorant of, which is the Saturday Sabbath. Or he knows it, but didn't want to admit it, because that's the only thing that could make sense here. And I have the book, so I can read to you what he said before and after that. And I just take an excerpt from the internet of the apology.
That their Rome is taking Saturday as a sacred day, though they too go far away from Jewish ways, of which indeed they are ignorant. This source is literally saying that people are honoring and worshiping Saturn without even knowing it. This is what
it's not saying that they're honoring and worshiping Saturn without even knowing it. It's saying that they're honoring and worshiping Saturn without knowing the Jewish ways or the ways of the Jews and what they do on the day of Saturn, which is not have ease and luxury, right? Which is the reason why they rejoice on Sunday apart from the people who rejoice for sun worship. They keep the Sabbath on Saturn day, not have ease and luxury, which is why they're happy about the Sabbath being over on Sunday, because then they could do their first day of work. They could do whatever they want. They could do what niggas was doing on Saturday on Sunday, while they're having their day of worship on Sunday. These are the ways of the Jews, of which they are indeed ignorant. That's what it says, and that's how it reads. That's what the deal is. That's the context. That's the history. All right? Now, that's all of the breaking down of this video that we're going to do. Put a 7 in the chat if everything I've said so far makes sense. Please, if you will. Last part we're going to show for these last 2 minutes is a little historical proof. Oh, let's do that first. Yeah, let's do that first. Y'all put them 7s in the chat if this makes sense to y'all. If you understand the connection between the Greeks and the Israelites, and the fact that the Greeks created Cronus and the Sabbaton on Saturday, and when the Romans took power, they stopped Sabbaton and Cronus, which we read about in the book of Maccabees, 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6. And they begin to make us do Saturn worship, which is ease and luxury on the Sabbath day. Do whatever you want, right? Sun worship on Sunday, which would be your day of rest, right? And no longer able to keep the Sabbath day or the feast days or anything like that. I like all them 7s. All praises. Glad y'all understand. Okay. So now some historical proof to debunk what they were saying, right? Two historians that he mentioned that said there was a lunar Sabbath was Philo and Josephus, both of them being Israelites. He didn't give any sources. He just gave you what he said was an excerpt from a book. Well, this is an excerpt from Philo's Decalogue himself, right? Philo of Alexandria mentioned that the Sabbath, golly, bro. Every time I got to say something, Satan make my dog bark. Hold on just a second. All right. So, Philo of Alexandria, as you see, right? The guy that Deacon mentioned says that the Sabbath is on the 7th day of the week. Why is that? Because Philo of Alexandria was a Sabbaton worshiper, right? Once the Romans lost their power, right? Philo of Alexandria, which was a province of Rome and Greece. So once it became the Greco-Roman Empire after we took over, right? Alexandria was still a place that we had under our possession. Philo of Alexandria was a Sabbaton keeper, was a Greek speaker and a Latin speaker, right? And this is what he wrote in his Decalogue, right? Philo mentions that the 7th day, page 166, Philo mentions that the 7th day of the week is assigned to the beginning of the greatest festivals. What is a festival that we talked about? The festival of Cronus, Sabbaton, right? Is the first of the festivals. What's another festival? Unleavened bread, the Greeks always kept on the Sabbaton. Something else? Tabernacles festival on the Sabbaton. This is what the Greeks did. Why? Because the Greeks are Hellenized Israelites. The tribe of Dan, the tribe of Simeon, and the kingdom of Judah. That's what this is. Deacon didn't know that, right? They kept the unleavened bread, the Sabbaton festival, tabernacles, take place during the vernal and aluminum equinoxes. Autumnal equinoxes, right? Each last 7 days. Okay? The Jewish Sabbath is observed on Saturday, and the 7th day of the week. The Sabbath commemorates the day that God restored or rested after completing the creation, right? Just going more into what the Sabbath is and how it refers and coincides and aligns with the Jews, which Philo was, right? And a Sabbaton keeper, the festival that happens on the 7th day, aside from unleavened bread and tabernacles, which happen in the vernal and autumnal equinoxes. Do we see? That's Philo. Let's see what Josephus said. Josephus. Joseph, right? Jojo. Yes, Jojo Flavius said the Sabbath was Saturday. Deacon wrote in his PowerPoint that the Israelite historians Philo and Josephus both said that the lunar Sabbath is what we should follow. Yes, they said that we keep our months according to the lunar Sabbath. They didn't say nothing about the days. They didn't say nothing about the Sabbath according to the lunar. So we keep the new moon in our months according to the lunar, right? According to the moon. But the Sabbath day and days are not constituted by the moon. Joseph Flavius, right, told us that the Sabbath day was Saturday, the day of Sabbaton, the 7th day of the week, right? Saturn's day. Josephus wrote in Sabbath on the Saturn day in favor of the Lord's day. Josephus wrote that the Sabbath was on Saturday, but favored the Lord's day. He favored the Lord's day because what? Which they call Sunday in that captivity, right? Because the Lord's day is what the Romans called Sunday due to the sun worship thing. The paganism that comes from the Mycenaeans, right? Because that's where they adopted that from. They didn't go all the way back to Egypt and look at Ra. They adopted stuff from the people in the land they was at. The white boys on the motorcycles got big beards and they wear long fringes because they trying to be Native Americans. There's nothing new under the sun. You can't say the white man is an adopter and a stealer and a pillager and a robber, but then he made everything for your lesson on the Sabbath. Makes no sense. What else did Flavius say that coincides with the history as to why the devil is keeping our Sabbath on the seventh day? This is from the book, The Sabbath in the Writings of Josephus by Harold Wise. It says, in reference to the Sabbath, modern scholarship has tended to tape Josephus' writings with one of two questions in mind. In the first place, his works provide a rather impressive string of imperial, provincial, and municipal decrees granting the Jews significant religious privileges. Josephus is a man that's contemporary to like Paul and them, right? He ain't super old. Josephus is a man who was around after all of the decrees to allow us to keep the Sabbath day by John Hyrcanus were in place. Herod, the Tetrarch, who we read about in the Bible, who's not the King Herod, but a different one, right? Herod the Tetrarch, the other King Herod, he is not somebody who had the power to take the Sabbath from the Jews, which is why when Hamashiach Yahushua is on the scene, the Jews are able to keep the Sabbath. They're able to get on people for doing things on the Sabbath and look at people a different way for doing things on the Sabbath because it was no longer against the law to keep the Sabbath. Why is that? Because according to Josephus, there were municipal, provincial, and impressive imperial decrees that granted, imperial meaning decrees from the king, right? Judicial and municipal meaning law, right? Decrees from the or granting the Jews significant religious privileges, including non-interference with the Sabbath observances. Okay? Non-interference with the Sabbath observances. That's why they were interfered with when Hamashiach Yahushua was on the scene. So if Flavius tells us the Sabbath was on Saturday and they had no interference with it, why wouldn't they know what day the Sabbath was? That means they had time to go back through their records as the Greeks to find out what they were keeping as the Sabbath. Just so happened it was the Sabbaton on the seventh day, which is the same one that they kept and put in the records, the newer records. Which is why all the records today that the Jewish man has is the 7-day Sabbath, not lunar, because those are the records, right? I need to probably zoom in on this so y'all can see it. Damn, it won't even let me zoom in on it. Damn, that's crazy. Okay. Well, look, the website is JSTOR. If you want to go read it. Damn, I can't even go to the. All right. Well, JSTOR, just Google the Sabbath in the Writings of Josephus. JSTOR. It'll pop up, I promise. You don't need to log in for this. You see, I'm not logged into the college website with all these peer-reviewed things on it that regular people can't access. It just pops up on the internet. All praise to the Most High. So y'all can read what it says for yourself. And guess what? You could get all of the sources right down here, right? They got, for the convenient listing of all the edicts and protecting of the civil religious rights of the Jews by J. Juster, pages 132 to 152, right? They got a book of all the religious decrees and the civil right decrees that was given to the Jews by the Romans. You have Lois Romanis Surles Josephus Selen Flavius Joseph, right? That's Flavius Joseph's book. RB 87 from 1981, pages 161 to 198. Right? They got all of these books that tell you about the Sabbath in Flavius Joseph's words, being Saturday, not lunar anything. Right? So brothers straight up went up on camera and lied on Israelite historians. Ain't that something? Crazy. Last thing we're going to show. Some history. Right? Y'all can see that? Yeah, that looks good. All right, bet. Now, last thing we're going to show. Uh-oh. All right, here we go. What in the world is everything? Hold up now. What? Hold up. My bad, guys. Something right. All right, here we go. I clicked the wrong button. All right, so we got witnesses, right? Witness number 1. Now, we just saw that there were historical decrees, right? That told you not to mess with the Sabbath, not to interfere with it no more. After John had Cronus in it, we see and saw that the Hellene, or the Greek, which is an Israelite, right, kept something called the Sabbaton, which was a 7-day of rest, the holy day of Cronus, which was changed by the Romans to Saturn, or Saturday. And the meaning of the day was also changed by the Romans because it became not a day of rest, but a day of luxury, right? So that's the difference. Here's a little bit of proof of all of that stuff we just said, right? And it being a Saturday, the Sabbath, that is. A Roman historian named Cassius Dio, who wrote about the Roman history, gives an account of wars waged between Rome and Judea. In it, he explains the capture of Jerusalem in 63 BC, which we've done a class on. As it was, they made an exception of what they are called the days of Saturn. The days of Saturn exist. Why? Because these are Romans. And by doing no work on all those days, wait, it's called Saturn and they don't do work on those days? Why? Because the Jews or the Greeks didn't call it Saturn, you duck monkey. The Romans did. It didn't become significant to do what the Romans did on Saturn until the Romans took over the Israelites or the Greeks, right? Hence why this actual historic account here that we're reading, not a PowerPoint, is about to show us why on the Saturday, the Sabbath, the 7th day of the week, Israel was even able to be overthrown on this day. According to who? Good old Flavius Josephus, right? So, and Cassius Dio. Now, it says, they have the day of Saturn, and by doing no work on all, by doing no work at all on those days, afforded the Romans an opportunity in this interval to batter down the wall. And if you know anything about it, it only took them 24 hours. They did it in a day. How was that possible? Because the Israelites wasn't defending them. We was inside praying to the Most High, keeping the Sabbath on Saturday. Saturday. Why are they doing that in 63 BC? And their brothers in Greece are doing it as well. Sabbaton. Damn. How did the Israelites in Greece and the Israelites in Judah have the same Sabbath? Is it because it's the one in the records? It's the one they actually kept? Could that also explain how the Jewish man has the same Sabbath? Because it's the one in the records. It's the one we kept. Oh, okay. Reading on. It says, latter, on learning of this superstitious awe of theirs, made no serious attempts the rest of the time. But on those days, so they made no serious attempts to do anything, according to Cassius Dio. But on the days of the Sabbath, Saturday is when they got everything done. When they came around in succession, right? Because every Saturday, you got to wait a week, right? Which is why it took from 63 BC to 70 AD. 63 to, well, damn near, yeah, right? 63 to 70 BC, Salakia, or 72, really, if you count the end of the war and everything that happened. So 63 to 70, 72, right? BC, takes all of that time for that to happen, right? All of that time for that to happen. 63 BC to 72 BC. 70 AD is when we leave Israel and flee to the mountains, right? Because that's when the siege really got crazy. But it took them so long to besiege us, because brothers don't know the history. We've taught a class on it once at SOT, which is still on the channel for Milk Mondays, and on this channel as well, right? It took them so long because they had to wait till the Sabbath to do their attacks, which means they could only attack once a week. They knew they could do whatever they want to do on other days. We was going to fight back. On the Sabbath day, we're not going to do that. So once they realized that, well, we only going to attack on Saturday. Ding, ding, ding. And this is what? Supported by a Roman historian, Cassius Dio. It says later on, the superstition, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. But on those days, when it came around secession, they assaulted most vigorously. Thus, the defenders were captured on the day of Saturn. They were captured on Saturday. This was a glorious day for them because it was our rest day, their non-rest day, and they was able to get over on us because we was resting and they weren't, right? Without making any defense. Why? Because we were resting. What you do on the Sabbath. And all the wealth was plundered. Why? Because we wasn't trying to save the wealth. We was keeping the Sabbath. To go run out and save the wealth would mean you have to do work. You're going to get tired. That's laborious.
That's right.
Niggas trying to keep the law. Why is the Most High doing this? We need to stay and do the Sabbath. So, they not doing that. Let's take this money. And they dipped. Right? And they did this every week for years until the job was done. Right? So, this is why the history tells you all the big things happen on a Saturday. Because those are the days that they were doing things to us. Because those are the days they knew we were keeping our Sabbath. Why didn't it say, and they waited for the new moon to come in and for the Jews to count from the first day of the moon to begin their Sabbath. And on that day, whenever it was, because it's not like the Romans were in the camp of the Jews able to hear the count or to know the count or to see it on a chalkboard written in the temple. No, they couldn't do that. Right? So that means the Sabbath had to be something even the basis of man could understand, which is how they was able to steal it. They're going to have to know it in the kingdom till they get destroyed, right? There's no new thing under the sun. All right. Next, we got Roman soldier. So we got a Roman historian, now a nigga that was doing the work. Fontinius, right? In his book, Stag Gems, tells us about the destruction of the second temple in 70 AD. The divine Vespasian, we know about him, attacked the Jews on the day of Saturn. On what day? The day of Saturn, on which it is forbidden for them to do anything serious. And they prevailed. Well, damn. Greek language and the manuscripts. Why is it in the Greek language? Because the Greeks are Israelites. Crazy. The Greek language and the ancient manuscripts of the New Testament also give evidence to the connection between the Sabbath, Sabbaton. The Greeks got a word called Sabbaton in the Bible. You mean the Bible doesn't say Shabbat in the New Testament? It says Sabbaton, same word that the Hellenized Greeks used for the day of Cronus, where they rested, which the Romans took and made Saturday after Saturn and changed the meaning of the day to a day of luxury and do whatever you want. As in, take over the Israelites while they create or keep Cronus, Sabbato, or Sabbaton. Okay. See how all this stuff is crazy? How it all ties together, right? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So they got closing arguments. I mean, do y'all need anything else? We've been doing this for 2 hours and 19 minutes, and we only debunked 15 minutes of their video. They went on for 2 hours, guys. Y'all want us to go point for point? I can't go point for point. I'm going to have a 19-hour video. Right? 200 slides. Every slide we saw so far was lie, or it had something true on it, like that quote from Tertullian, and he lied about the context of it. Or I ain't gonna say lie. I'll say misspoke. Right? We don't want to bear false witness on brothers because maybe he just really don't know, which is fine. But you can't not know and call brothers idolaters. So, yeah. Quick recap before we close out. All right. Quick recap. We got through it, Boaz. The water, man. Thanks for pulling up.
Sure.
So, quick recap-a-dapper, right? We proved in this lesson that the Greeks are where the Romans got the word Saturday from. Because the Romans just created Saturn and gave him all the attributes, powers, characteristics of the Greek god Cronus, the god of time, right? We've proved in this lesson and other lessons that the Greeks are actually the Israelites. The word Greek is a word that has an etymology that goes to the word Hellene. Hellene is a word that has an etymology that goes back to the Hellenized Israelites, starting with the tribe of Dan, who was the first tribe to go to the land of Japhet, or Japhet, the Isles of the Gentiles, right? That's what happened. So those are things brothers got to acknowledge first. Deacon and Hassad and anybody else that, thinks this way seems to think that the devil is the Greeks, but they're not. The Greeks were us. Roman and Philip were only called Greeks because their dynasty of rulership came up under our dynasty as what history calls the Greeks. Alexander is considered a Hellene, a Macedonian, because the people who ruled Macedon were Hellenes, Israelites. Macedon, or Macedon, D-A-N, was a place where Danites lived, as well as Lacedaemon, or Lacedaemon, Lacedaemon, however you want to pronounce it, right? Which is how they became the Lacedaemonians, or Lacedaemonians. You got, which is really how you pronounce it, Lace, because the C is an S sound in Greek. But anyway, so you got the Lacedaemonians, you got Sparta, which is a sect of the Lacedaemonians that just moved to another place. Lacedaemon, the man Lacedaemon, had a wife named Sparta. That's where Sparta and Lacedaemon come from. The Spartans, if you've ever seen the movie with Leonidas in them, they had a big ass L on their shields because they were recognizing Lacedaemon, the king that Sparta was married to. It's all connected. They're all the Israelites. Josephus in his books also tells us this fact, right? The Lacedaemonians, the Scythians, are Israelites from the tribe of Dan and Simeon. And that the Maccabees obviously were Jews. They came together. They had a letter, right? That was written, which is the letter we see in the book of the Maccabees. And Alexander also wrote a letter. That's not in our Bible because we don't give a damn about Alexander. Alexander also wrote a letter about the Lacedaemonians and the Maccabees, which proves they're true. You can find this letter in Josephus's books, right? Or you could just AI the history if you're lazy. But all of that stuff is there. And Alexander even knew that Dan was part of the Lacedaemonians. And he knew that the Lacedaemonians and the Maccabees and the Scythians were all of one stock. Scythians. He said it in his letter. This is all stuff for some reason the other guys don't teach. I don't know if it's because they don't go into it or whatever. But the Greeks were never, ever white people. Once Septimius Severus and Persinius Niger took over, right, in 193 AD, the Roman Empire became the Greco-Roman Empire because the people Septimius Severus came from and Septimius Severus and Persinius Niger came from were Greek Israelites. They spoke Koine Greek. They invented that language. They were the Hellenes. That's why in history it's called the Greco-Roman Empire, because all they did was reestablish everything they had as the so-called Greeks. This is why the Septuagint in the New Testament is written in Koine Greek, because we were the ones writing it, not them. They have the Latin Vulgate. That's theirs. Ours, Greek Septuagint. Holy Roman Empire, that's us. Roman Empire, that's them. Holy is separate. We were separate from them. Right? Y'all got to learn the historical, homonyms and stuff. The names and the nicknames and the bywords that we called ourselves and went by. Byzantine Empire, that's us. Dorians, Mycenaeans, that's us. There is only one sect of the Celts that Esau comes from. The rest of the Celts was us. The Celt that Esau comes from, we went over in the lesson about the Slavs, right? They're called the Verdinini or something. Verniti or something like that. Something with a V. Sounds like an Italian name because it's Latin. Right? We were the other Celts. We were the people that were the Jutes. Jutes for Judah, right? We were the people that were the Danes, the tribe of Dan, right? The Dubgal people, the Vikings, right? Kings of the water. Vi is how you say water in Gaelic. Viking, water king. What did Josephus tell us? That the tribe of Dan is a seafaring people. They went all the way up to Scandinavia, all that type of stuff, right? So it's like the history's there. Y'all just don't know it. They were the Greeks. The whole Greek god pantheon is just our people through apotheosis turned into gods. The biggest example that you would know is Hercules and Thor. Hercules is Samson as a human, and Thor is Samson and Hercules as a god. He wasn't always white with blonde hair. He used to be black with locks. Google it. So yeah, that's what you got, right? Even when we get to the Danes, old Dan, that's Dan, the forefather, right? When he becomes Odin, the forefather in Valhalla, he gets the same attributes as Yahweh. Valhalla is the place that the warriors of the tribe of Dan are resting. So that when Ragnarok comes, or Armageddon, the last day, the day before, well, the day everything passes as the chaff, right? Mashiach Yahweh is supposed to come back with them angels and chariots. Well, Valhalla is literally the story of the warriors or angels coming with Hamashiach Yahweh or Odin to wreak havoc and fire and pillage the earth and punish them for the things they did against their people. That's all history we taught in those lessons. This whole month has led up to this, ironically. People in the Anointed House of Saints understand every reason why we would celebrate the 7-day Sabbath, because we went through the whole history with you guys, not even knowing that Genesis was going to make this video and force us to teach you guys why we keep this again. Like we tried to teach them when we were the Sons of Thunder with Joel, right? In that room at the Fort Lauderdale Summit when they walked out because nobody agreed with them in the middle of the debate. Not even before the conclusion it happened. So it's all love to brothers. I'm not going to do a debate. I don't think I need a debate because, quite frankly, I don't think y'all can freaking, if you're being real, you're not going to go back and, say that the people you said something that they didn't say that. So, like Philo and Flavius, who said that the Sabbath was Saturday, and we proved it. They were Sabbaton creators, and it's written in Philo's Decalogue. Like, it says Decalogue. That's like his autobiography. He wrote he was a Sabbaton, Sabbath day, 7-day keeper in Greek. So yeah, I mean, it's whatever. But I'm not making no more videos about this anymore because we had the debate. I wasn't satisfied then with your answers. I'm not going to be satisfied now. Right? And this was mainly to teach my camp why that video didn't do anything to the captains of this camp, because we know some history, right? And understand the Bible in its totality. and the people that we used to be called and the bywords that we went by, right? We would never, ever say that the Greeks are Romans unless you're misspeaking and talking too fast while you're trying to teach somebody. So that's that, man. Hope y'all enjoyed the lesson. You got anything you want to say, Boaz? I keep saying not because I'm used to not being on here with mine. But you got anything you want to say, light skin? Boaz is jealous?
Wow.
All right, man. So one more time, man. Put some sevens in the chat if y'all understood. Hit the like button if you like the lesson. Share it. Put it on your Facebook. Let them see it. I don't want to hear nobody say, "Oh, these guys was posting on Facebook and they ain't want to make no lesson." Because this is not the second one we made. I made one Monday and we made one today. Y'all have yet to address any of it. Y'all don't have to address any of it. Y'all can just let us go on about our day like we did 4 years ago when y'all walked out the room. Nobody said anything about it. We didn't come back to the internet and tell everybody that we had a debate on this already and y'all didn't stick around for the debate because we was kicking the can, right? Up y'all candy at? No, I'm playing. So we was doing it though, right? We was giving the work to the workers. Just saying. So, all right.
He's giving the work to the workers.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, cocky, arrogant. Greeks are not white people. The Babylonians that made the calendar are literally the Chaldeans that Abraham is a descendant of. So if they're the devil, nigga, so are we. Okay. Abraham was born under that calendar that you lied and said came from the white man. All they did was change the name of the days. They didn't make nothing. Not even the sequence of the days in the calendar. The Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar are the same thing with different names and an extra day or two. It's the same. The same thing that they stole from the Greeks, who were the Israelites.
I think it's extra 10 days. I don't know.
Whatever. It's some extra days because they went by a different system, right? But the sequence in which, in the way that they conformed their calendar was the same. The way the calendar looks is the same. That wasn't made by them. That was adopted. Changing times and seasons doesn't mean changing days. The Sabbath is not a time or season. It's a continuous day festival that we have. It's a feast that we have every week, continuously. Like the good brother Dominique said, right? Mahalab. You count 6 days, and then there's 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sabbath, right? I gotta do it like that. It's a good brother, Mahalab, right? So he told y'all in the comments, if you read it like he spoke it, he tried to give you guys how to count. Not our comments, but the comments on Facebook. The niggas ignored it. Made it seem like, what does counting have to do with it? We're counting days. 6 days he rested. 7 days. 6 days he worked. 7 days he rested.
Yeah.
You're counting days. You can't count days with the moon because the moon's inconsistent. It's not a perfect cycle. It doesn't go dark one day, the next day the first sliver, the next day that, the next day this. We would be over with the moon cycle way before 30 days. It would be over before 15 days. It would be over in 14 days. Right? We just need to go by 2 cycles. If it went by every week, that would mean it would be over in 2 weeks. Right? So it's not the days that we count. But Deacon told us that days are determined by the moon. Lie detector determined that was a lie. If I'm a Danite, I gotta act like a judge, right? We gotta start bringing in some judicial speaking to this thing. I can't take Truth Tuesday back. We left it with the other people. So, you know, lie detector. But yeah. So I mean, that's just a little bit of history, man. To recap everything, I'm gonna stop babbling now. So you want to get Daniel 7:18 for us? When we close it out.
Okay. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. By Hashem Mashiach Yahushai.
All right, man. So, I'm all of the aristocrat.
Brother Boaz.
Boaz the zealous, light skinned one. And we both Danites. No, I'm playing. But no, the 7-day Sabbath, man, is what it is. The 7-day Sabbath. All the history tells us 7-day Sabbath. We have the proof of Esau, the beast, the devil that the Bible speaks of, being able to conquer us only on the 7-day Sabbath. Right? That's what the records show. I didn't say that. It's in the history. When you watch the Kings and Generals video on the Titus and Vespasian siege in Jerusalem, he tells you all their successful encounters were on the Sabbath day. Why is that? Because Saturday or Saturn day or Cronus or the Sabbaton or the Shabbat, whatever you want to call it, was the day that the Israelites rested. Whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not. You said what?
Slack it.
Mm-hmm.
For them to have known that means that the day would had to have been consistent on a schedule. But if it was
for them, yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. For Esau to know that they could conquer us, it had to be a consistent day. It couldn't be, oh, well, one day it's a Tuesday, one day it's a Thursday, one day it's a Monday, right? Because how would they know? They ain't got no megaphone that they taking outside. Hey, Esau, Idumea, we gonna have a Sabbath on Tuesday. Y'all just attack us then. Like, nigga, what? They gonna wait to have their come on, bro. Like, that's what they would have to do, right? Because y'all's change every week, right? Talk about grievance. Ain't the commandments not supposed to be grievous? But I gotta tell my job, hey, boss, next month I need every Thursday off. In December, just give me every Friday and a half. Before the end of the month, I'm gonna need Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know yet. Whatever day of the month, I'm gonna start my count after that. I'll let you know next week. Nigga, what? I'd be fired.
Hold up. How about the 1 month where the new moon pops up twice? So you like, oh yeah, boom, boom, boom. Oh, boss man.
Wait, what about when the new moon lasts for a long time? It's more than one day. Which day do y'all start your count from? And then which day do you start your week from? Since your days are determined by the new moon too. It's confusing. Do you go 1, 2, 3 all the way to the new moon and then start over and say it's a Wednesday when the new moon comes in? Is it now Monday instead of Thursday? I don't know. I'm confused. Right? Also, for your Pentecost count, right? Don't y'all got to count 100 days instead of what we count? Is the commandment, thou shalt count 100 days? But we in idolatry? Sounds like y'all are idolizing the count, Dracula. Because y'all just 1, 2, or it might be that nigga from the Tootsie Roll commercial. Because y'all just counting. Yeah. So, all right. That's it, man. That's all. Hope y'all enjoy your night. Hope you liked the lesson and understood everything. It is not a lunar Sabbath. It never will be. That is my stance. And that's what the Known House of Saints is going to continue to keep. Right? So.
Anything?
All right, y'all. You said what?
I was going to say anything else. You already made the announcements in the beginning.
Yeah, we good. Y'all be sure to pull up on Saturday if y'all can, man. You know what I'm saying? Support the brothers. What's that? 1530 Windermere Drive. Let me pull it up one more time. Might as well, right? Might as well one time. Where this thing?
1530 Woodmere Drive in Greensboro, North Carolina at 3 p.m. November 2nd. Pull up.
All right.
Pull up.
All right, guys. Share the video, man. Send it to whoever you want. Like I said, we ain't doing no debates. This was just to put the information out there, right? So, show on. If you wanted a debate, you should have finished the first one or the second one or the third one. 3 strikes out. I played baseball.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, 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 black music, black music, black music,